Hey Ryan, come on in.
Hey, Jim.
Dr. Taraban, I presume. No, don't be silly. Don't be silly. It's New York City. It's no one's late until they're like at least a half an hour late.
Oh,
Here, hop in. I'm shooting.
bad. Oh, you're already shooting? Oh, okay.
Well, I figured we'd only meet each other for the first time one time.
Yeah, that's what I figured as well.
Yeah, it's good to see you. Your eyes are as blue in person as they come off on the camera. So
yeah.
I every time I've watched your videos, I find myself going like, wow, I would have really murdered it if I had those eyes. Like that is really. Like that has got to be. I would have learned some hard lessons about women that way, you know. Like women dig the eyes, so it's crazy to me. I'm so glad that we did this. Like it's so funny to me because you were the first person that I furiously texted Mark after I saw your first interview, and I went, "Wow, this guy gets it. Like this guy gets it." And then every time one of your interviews comes on, I'm just furiously texting everyone going, you got to see this one. You got to see Orion. You got to see Orion. You got to see what he's saying now. And invariably, I have clients, colleagues who get back to me and just go, oh my God, that guy gets it.
Wow.
You know? So yeah.
High praise.
Yeah,
Thanks, man.
yeah, it's big stuff, man. I'm telling you. And I downloaded your audiobook. And so yeah, I'm genuinely a fan.
I brought you a copy too.
Oh yeah? All right, cool. Good. A hard copy is always good to have. But yeah, I think it's just so interesting that we have these, you know, like the software and the hardware, you know, like I'm so structural in the legal definition of marriage and like what that economy looks like from a legal standpoint. And then your work digs so deep into sort of what's the back end of that, what's the operating system behind that. And I kind of love that, like, you know.
Well, the stuff that you do is so important, and I think that's the takeaway that I got when watching your first interview on Soft White, is a lot of people are signing up for an agreement. It's a serious business agreement. They've never read the fine print. They don't know what the contract is like. On some level, they're not sure what they're signing up for, and they're making an emotional decision. And I think that can get people into some difficult situations a little further down the road.
And it's even more, for me, even than just there's an emotional decision. What I find really intriguing about your work as it relates to the subjects I'm talking about is how much of a glacier like that really, like an iceberg that really is. There's like this surface level of the emotional thing. Like all of us know love's an emotion. Like love's an emotion. Love's a verb, but love's an emotion. And you fall in love so fast, or you fall into something like love. You fall into some kind of fascination or passion. And then, you know, the manner in which we fall out of that, or that the luster of that fades, and how much is it, like the stuff about your work that I find so fascinating is this idea of like, okay, let's really deconstruct what it is that is making people feel like this is a good bet. Like this is a good, like, because I'm the house and the house always wins. You know, like the legal system, I mean, marriage, 56% failure rate, right? I mean, that's just if you consider success as not getting divorced. But if 56% of marriages end in divorce, and then another 10 or 20, as I said on my first interview, you know, end in, all right, well, we'll just be miserable forever because we don't want to give up half our shit. What technology has, what gamble does anybody ever do that has a 70-something% failure rate? So it's got to be like the most powerful internal motivation that would make someone sign on for that.
I think you kind of have to. If you're coldly rational about it, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
But it's not even just coldly rational. I would even say vaguely rational. Like, because that's the part of your work that does not overlap with mine. Like, I still don't completely understand, particularly from the male perspective, why. Let me phrase it this way.
All right.
So the zeitgeist now is all about, you know, why is Leonardo DiCaprio dating women in their 20s, and why are, you know, all of these older, successful, wealthy men dating gorgeous young women, which to me seems like the most preposterous question, because if you think about it. Like, I'm a 52-year-old man. If a 20-something-year-old woman wants to date me, which is entirely possible, okay?
Especially now that you've gotten famous.
Absolutely. Like, fame is an ultimate drug. It made me 2 feet taller. But the reality, which makes me 8'2". No, but the reality of it is that you know, if I was dating a woman who's 22, 30 years my junior, okay? people would go, that guy's a pervert. Look at what a pervert that guy is. Or look at what a kind of a deviant that is. He must have some issues that he wants to date women that young.
The women are saying this, or the guys are saying this?
I think women are saying this, and I think some men are saying it maybe as plausible cover.
But I think some guys are going to be like, wow,
what's interesting to me is, though, isn't what I like about her is incredibly obvious. She's beautiful. No one, even the most staunch feminist, would say that a woman in her 20s doesn't look fantastic. I mean, why are women in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond trying to have the skin they had when they were 20, trying to hold on to that look? So it's obvious.
But you're not supposed to say the quiet part loud.
Well, but I think, see, that's the part that, the quiet part is, what's with her that she would be, if anyone's kind of weird, it's her. She's dating me. Like,
You think that's weird, really?
Well, I mean, I think it's weird if you don't say the real quiet part out loud, which is that love's an economy. And that what I bring to the table is experience, confidence, finance, notoriety, any of those other things.
Yeah, the notoriety is huge. I think that attention is really, really captivating for women in particular. I think that's why they often get ensnared in social media, among other things. And you are awash in that these days.
But is it the runoff? So this is the interesting question.
Today's video is sponsored by BetterHelp.
How's it been going since you've been doing therapy for the last couple of months?
Oh, it's been great. I mean, I've done therapy my whole life. I mean, since my 20s, I think I've done therapy on and off throughout. A lot of people look at therapy as like, oh, there's something wrong with you if you're doing therapy. The way I look at it is there's something really healthy and right about you if you're speaking to a therapist, because you're able to, like, we all go through things in our lives that just make things difficult. And if you have someone, especially a professional, to talk about it, it just makes your life better. It just calms things down. Your anxiety, your depression, your anger, they all seem to subside, and that's a really healthy thing. And with BetterHelp, what's great about it is no matter where you are, you can be in Alaska, you can be in the middle of Kentucky, you can be anywhere, and you can connect with a therapist, a professional who's really going to help you out. And we all need it. And sometimes if you're not in New York or LA or San Francisco or Chicago, you're stuck without those options. But now everyone has that at their disposal. And you can do this all from your phone or computer, just a phone call, a video chat, or messaging, however you feel most comfortable. It's the easiest possible way to start talking to a therapist. You'll be matched with a therapist usually within 48 hours, and you can get started right away. So let BetterHelp connect you with a therapist, all from the comfort of your own home. Visit betterhelp.com/soft white underbelly or choose soft white underbelly when you sign up and get a special discount on your first month. And now back to the video.
So this is the interesting question to me, is that you can answer. Is it the runoff attention, like they enjoy the attention that comes with being with a successful, influential man, or is it the derivative attention that they get? They must have value because the person who says they have value has value.
Yeah, probably column A and column B, a little bit of both.
A little bit of both.
Yeah,
okay.
And you get benefit both ways. Like attention from a high-status, successful man redounds to all kinds of other things. I talk about this in the book. I say that, I call it the Playboy bunny effect. It's like the idea that most men are going to continue to desire very beautiful women. And one of the surest signs of being a successful man is having access to a beautiful woman. Because for better or for worse, like you said, it's very obvious why you might be there with the beautiful 22-year-old. If someone wasn't familiar with what you do or who you are, you could just be a decent-looking dude in a suit, you know? Right. It takes longer to understand a man's value. It can't really be calculated on sight. And so men are kind of ciphers in the social context. Now, a beautiful woman, we assume, basically has her pick of any man that she wants. Yeah. And so when we see her with you, we think, wow, of all the men that she could probably have, she's with James? Right. Maybe there's something about this dude.
Yeah, so it's very interesting that it does really, I guess, go both ways. And insofar as, I've always felt that I've never quite understood why we as a society, maybe it's because I've been a divorce lawyer for 25 years, but we're so reluctant to say the quiet part out loud, to say, look, this is an exchange of value. This is a contract we're signing up for. It's a contract that is unlikely to succeed. Mm-hmm. So again, if anything has happened to my practice in the last year since my first conversation with Mark and my first appearance on the channel, is the number of people coming to me for prenups has gone through the roof.
Oh, good.
Because I think we are, as a society, like the fire that you created in your, like the attention that's turned to you, the number of people your message has resonated with, and the same for me, I think says something about people saying, yeah, this, like we have to talk about this. We have to get it out there.
I say to guys that I consult with is that you already have a prenup on some level. You have an agreement that was crafted by the state that predates your nuptials. That's your prenup. It's a default standard contract that you get unless you craft one that's custom tailored to your
100%.
circumstances.
I tell every person who comes into my office for a prenup, you're going to have a prenup. It's either written by the legislature of your state, and by the way, can be changed anytime unilaterally by them, okay, depending on the administration, sort of how the winds blow, or it's one that the two of you create. You create your own rule set. And you can make it as simple of a rule set as you want, or you can make it as complex of a rule set as you want. You can make it just yours, mine, ours. If it's in your name, it's yours, my name, it's mine, joint names, we split it 50-50, and that's it. Or you can say, just my business stays mine. You know, everything else will divide 50-50, whatever, but my business stays mine. That's gonna save you $100,000 worth of forensic accounting in the event that you divorce, just that one clause alone. But what is it about? Because I got to tell you, I have men who come into my office, and this is the part I don't understand, who are power brokers at the highest level, like world-class surgeons people fly from the UAE to New York to be treated by. People in finance who are in the billions in terms of their worth, and they can move markets by their investment decisions. And they are terrified to say to a woman who they have been dating and who they support financially completely. She's totally dependent on them. And they're afraid to say, maybe we should have a prenup.
Okay, yeah, that's really fascinating. And I think, one, that has to do with the fact that confidence isn't always generalizable to different domains. Somebody could be a successful surgeon, even an athlete, someone with a lot of professional and public expertise, but that doesn't naturally and inevitably generalize to other domains like women.
Okay.
So that's one thing.
I totally get that. I mean, God, you can make business deals. Like, these are guys who can, like C-suite executives who go, yeah, we're just going to lay off those 20,000 people like it's nothing. And they're not, oh my God, what are they going to do? They have families, or I'm so worried about those people. I don't want to disappoint them. It's near Christmas time. And they are afraid that this woman who they're dating is going to be slightly disappointed or uncomfortable for like a few hours.
Yeah. Yeah. It's wild.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where that comes from. I don't know where that disconnect is. How can someone be so good at being ruthless, tactical, strategic, domineering, hard-charging, all those things in one sphere, and so bad at it in the interpersonal, interrelationship?
Got to be a lot of different reasons. Maybe that's part of it. They have this arena that they compete in all the time, and they don't want to bring those tools into their private relationships.
Yeah.
Maybe they're romantic. I've made some episodes about how men, I think, are actually more romantic than women.
Yeah.
What's interesting, you talk about all these divorce statistics, and what's more romantic than fighting for the losing cause on some level?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
it's
yeah.
like,
yeah, we're cheering for the
Civil
Karate
War.
Kid. Yeah, we're cheering for the underdog.
The fact that the odds are against it and it probably won't work out, but fuck it, let's do it anyway.
Yeah.
That is like the spirit of romanticism.
Listen, my 27-year-old son just got engaged. I said it's so bad for my brand. Like, why would you do this? But he did. And you know what? I have to tell you, like, I immediately, all reason went out of my head, and I went, oh, that's great, because she's lovely.
That's what you're supposed to say. Somebody's engaged, oh, congratulations.
Right. And my default is, I've always said to people, like when someone says like, oh, we're gonna get married, why? Why would you do that? Like, I don't understand why it is unacceptable to go, what in God's name are you thinking? Why would you do that? It's like, it's not broke, don't fix it. Like, just, but I felt it firsthand because his girlfriend is lovely. They went to law school together. She's a sweet girl. They're both lawyers. And I was like, you know what? Why not? Maybe these two crazy kids, it'll work out. Are you kidding me? Like, that is just, I know statistically it is so unlikely that this is a decision he's not going to someday turn around and go, yeah, what was I thinking? But there's still, we're cheering for that underdog.
And I think it has a lot to do with attraction. Like I was saying, if it was coldly rational and you were just doing a cost-benefit analysis of the contract and the arrangement, I don't think many people would do it.
How is that drive so powerful? How is that? I mean, look, we have all these drives, right? Like thirst, hunger, and if you've ever been hungry or you've ever been thirsty, like thirsty is way more powerful, like there's a part of you that goes, oh my God, I'm gonna die if I don't get liquids. But this drive feels like it's against all rational thought.
It is against rational thought. This is my little pet theory, because I've been to a lot of weddings in my time. In the vast majority of cases, if one of the couple is crying at the altar, it's the man.
Yeah.
And I think those vows that are traditionally said at the altar, they had to have been written by a man, because they have to do with, I think, men's deepest, most sincere longing, which is, wow, for better or for worse, you're gonna be there?
Yeah.
Like in sickness and health, you're gonna be there
you'll
for
really
me?
be there.
And it's like, wow, I don't have to carry it all myself. I found somebody who will look after me if I need to. If I stumble, they're gonna help me pick up. Like, what man has that in his...
Yeah, and any man who's been through a divorce hears that and goes, well, of course that guy's crying. Like, he's going, oh, shit, it's over. Like, this is all over. The whole thing's downhill.
I don't think that's why he's crying.
It's
It's
not.
like,
No, I
oh,
agree. I think there's
finally.
something that goes, oh my God, so I found this person. And I get that. I get the idea that, it's just life is terrifying in some ways, and it's very hard sometimes, and to have a person, your person, who just gets you and loves you and sees your blind spots, but sees them with love and is cheering for you. Like, there's something so intoxicating even about the thought of that.
And the most romantic idea of all, I think, is that I can be loved for who I am, especially as a man. It's not about what I can provide. It's not about my status and my occupation. It's not about what I can give to you as a life. It's that you love me, and you're going to be with me irrespective of the conditions of our life.
Yeah.
And that is such a relief, because most men can never put that burden down.
But
but it doesn't work that way. If you surrender those things that make the relationship work, you endanger the relationship.
Yeah, and see, as you're saying that, because of what I do for a living, it's that, I wish I knew no astronomy when stars appear. Like, all I can think is, oh, and that's why when that rug pull happens, Jesus, does it go the other way? Like, because for a man to say, it's kind of like okay, are we gonna fight? Are we gonna fight? Oh no, we're not? Okay, we're gonna be friends. And then you punch me. It's like, that is so much worse. Sure. Like, that is so much worse than if you'd just been like, oh, Sexton, I got a problem with you. And we're like, all right, I got a problem with you. Let's figure this out. Like, that's so much more honest.
Sure.
Whereas if you were like, oh, you're so great, and then you choke me, it's like, wow, really? Like, I've had, in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you have rolls with people, and the guy goes, oh, I've got a shoulder thing. If we could just go a little light. And you're like, yeah, of course. And then they just take your head off. And you're like, oh, I thought we were going light.
Well, I think
and
that's
it's the same vibe.
Where there's different forms of aggression with men and women. With men, it generally is more direct. But most women couldn't really hold their own in the direct, certainly physical altercation with a man.
They win in marriage all the time.
Well,
they
learned,
have the high ground in that one. Like,
they've learned
got us
indirect
beat.
forms of aggression, and their aggression is more verbal and more emotional. And most guys are completely outclassed when it comes to that. They're dealing with a 10th degree black belt in emotional warfare sometimes, and they can barely put their feelings into words.
Yeah,
you know
and
what
I think they learn that kind of fighting, if we want to call it fighting, that kind of tactical thinking in the context of the relationship. I think most men try to learn how to fight while they're in the fight, which is the worst time to learn how to fight. Yep. Like, they really, like, a lot of guys come to me, and you know what, I guess that is an answer in some ways to the question I asked earlier, where there are men who are so good at these negotiations, high stakes things, and then they just are so bad at this kind of conflict, the conflict that they have to disappoint their romantic partner.
Well, they also know when they're negotiating in the boardroom that they're negotiating.
Yeah.
Sometimes
it's
with
an
women,
honest
you
transaction.
don't know that you're in a point of negotiation. You don't know that this might be an antagonistic interaction.
Yeah.
Like, it's not, you're stepping into the ring and the announcer is...
Yeah. So obviously then, because this is the question I wanted to ask you. So obviously then, the best thing a person could do, like you talk to any nutritionist, they're going to say, well, the best thing you could do is not get fat. So just don't get fat. It's easy to not get fat. It's easier to not get fat than to get fat and try to lose the weight, right? So it's easier to maintain your weight. Okay, so if at the start of a relationship, you've seen the truth, you've read your book, you've watched our interview, got the prenup, like you're going into this thing with your eyes open, okay? So of course, that's the ideal, right? That's the ideal, is for a young person to go, okay, a young man to see this and go, all right, I see these things, I've seen the Matrix, whatever, I've taken the red pill, I get it. What do you do if you're already in it? Like that's, because those are the people coming into my office. The people coming into my office are guys who go, okay, now I see it, but I'm in it. I'm in it already. Like I don't have a prenup, and I didn't realize this was going to be like a tactical thing going on between us. I thought it was like, oh yeah, I found my person, she loves me more than anything in the whole wide world, I'm going to take care of her material needs, and she's going to be kind to me and have sex with me forever. And isn't it great? It's going to be great. Oh, she wants kids, I'm going to get her kids, now she's going to be happy. Like, oh, she wanted a house, okay, now she's going to be happy. And then he turns around and goes, wait, I did it all right. And she's banging the tennis instructor. Like, what, I was at work. She's saying she felt alone. She felt alone because she was alone because I was at work, because she wanted that house and the kids to go to private school. Like, and I would have stayed home and like hung out with her all day if that's what she wanted, but then she would have been mad at me for the fact that I'm home all day and why don't I go get a job? So what do you say to the guy who is in it already? Like, you're already in a fight. How do you say to that guy, oh, by the way, try not to get punched so often? Like what
yeah, it's really, really hard to do. It's so much better to do the right thing from the beginning than to try to do the right thing after 10 or 20 years of doing the wrong thing.
So a whole bunch of guys just like hit pause and went, shit, right now.
It's not always a lost cause. Sometimes it is, we have to be honest. It's very difficult to salvage a dynamic that has been reinforced over 20 years of interaction. And if you do start to change, it generally gets worse before it gets better.
Yeah, so which is better psychologically in terms of how it's going to be related to? Do you pull the Band-Aid off, or do you slowly get into the pool like gently? Like what, do you just jump in the cold pool, or do you gradually get in? Like, do you slowly start changing the manner in which you're relating to your partner, or do you just sit them down and say, look, I've come to some realizations?
Okay. Talking isn't really that helpful. Besides, sometimes men believe that because we've used our words and reached some sort of understanding that things will be different moving forward. In my opinion, it's much better to just change your behavior and let that speak for itself. And rather than a slow and gradual, I think you do want to rip the Band-Aid off, but to really target maybe one thing at a time. You can't change everything all at once, so maybe just stop responding in a certain way to this kind of behavior. And what that does is, because you have a system, the way that systems work, they're interdependent. If you change, it forces a shift in all the other parts of the system. They can't remain the same if you start showing up differently.
Sure.
Now, we can't fully predict how the other pieces are going to shift, but they absolutely have to adapt. And generally, people hate change, especially change that might go against their preferences or their self-interest. So generally, there's an extinction burst when guys start to show up differently in their relationships, where the woman is basically like, what are you doing here?
Well, but see, that's what just occurred to me, is that because women have an emotional vocabulary, and women seem, in my opinion, to be less afraid of that discussion, or less afraid to say, like, what's going on with that? Like, I just think it's funny that you all of a sudden. So what does the guy do when then she says, hey, what's going on here? Do you say, yeah, there is something going on here, and this something is like, how do you not have, because you're saying, hey, sitting down and having the conversation doesn't necessarily work. Maybe in the world of men that we would do that. Say, hey man, listen, there's gotta be some new rules now. Like, we gotta change things up, you know? Like, I would do that with a male employee. I would sit him down and I'd say, hey, listen, man, I know you've been doing this. Things got to change. New sheriff in town. We got to change some stuff. But I can't imagine a world where even the most subtle change was not picked up on by a female romantic partner, where she wouldn't go like, no, what's going on there? What's that about? Like, I have to tell you, I have so many female and male clients. And male clients will believe almost anything to not believe that their wife is cheating on them. Like, they will say to me, like, yeah, I don't know what's going on with her. It's like, I think she's depressed because she's been coming home much later, and she goes to the gym a lot. She's been working with this trainer, and she sees him 5 days a week now, and it's really been good for her to exercise. You know, she's really changed her whole tone. I'm sitting there going, she's sleeping with the trainer. She's definitely sleeping with the trainer. He's like, you know, and she's been on her phone a lot. She's very busy. I'm like, right, because she's sleeping with the trainer. Like, that's how do you not see she's sleeping with the trainer? Like, whereas a woman my female clients, they're like, yeah, I knew he was cheating, so that's why I knew to look at his phone. I'm like, how did you know? She's like, because he trimmed his goatee. Like, well, maybe it was just like he got food in it or something. And she's like, no, I could just tell it was something else.
It's the small things that women are very sensitive to. Sometimes they can miss the big picture, in my opinion, but you're right. These little details, wow. And they can be off to the races sometimes with that small little change. If you are a man and you step out of your relationship, your wife will find the one hair in your house.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how they know how to do that, but they will find the one hair that she leaves behind.
And meanwhile, a lot of men, myself included, if your romantic partner completely changed her hair color or length, it might take me a couple of hours to even notice. Like I just would not notice. Like if you said to me right now, what color is your couch? It's been in my living room for over a decade. I have no idea. I think it's like a dark green. I think. It might be brown. I have no idea. Because I'm totally blind to it now. I just see it's there and I sit on it and that's it. I can tell you probably how many cushions it has because I know how I move on them. But I don't know what it looks like. So how do you reconcile that sensitivity, right? The fact that a woman can pick up on that hair or on that slight change in your tone or that slight change in the way you're looking at your phone. How do you reconcile that with, and their willingness to have the conversation, to say like, hey, what's going on? What are you doing? How do you reconcile that with not getting in that discussion?
Well, first of all, I don't think when a woman has that kind of conversation, it's not really, I think, a discussion. They're not trying to kind of figure out what's going on. They're using their words as an emotional charge. It's like, hey, what's going on here? It's almost like, I've noticed that something is going on and I don't like it, and I want to communicate to you that I don't like it, and there will be consequences if you persist in this behavior. Even if that's not her semantic language that she's using, I think that's the impact of her tone. And I think that's that tone that a lot of men have difficulty withstanding. It's either that tone of, I'm unhappy with you.
I'm disappointed.
Or it's the tears. And, I've hurt my woman. She is out of sorts, and I've said or done something, and now she's crying. And I think that's something of a failure of intersex understanding. Like, what would it take? How much pain would you have to be in for you to break down in front of me?
Well, I cry a lot, so I would be fine. But I think most men, it's difficult. I think most men, it's difficult. Yeah,
and so I think a lot of guys, they see the woman crying and they think, wow, this must be insanely painful for this woman. Because, man, if I was crying and breaking down, it would be a serious, significant thing. So this must be a really important issue that we have to address right away, as opposed to maybe it's just something that she needs to feel, and then 10 minutes later, she's like, you want to go for ice cream?
Yeah, and I mean, it's well said. I think there's also a piece of what you're saying that earlier that is popping into my focus again, and that is, I think part of the reason why you see the guy crying at the aisle more than the woman in the wedding is, I think there's this feeling of, I feel perfect in that moment. Like the way I feel when a woman looks at me and is like, oh my God, you're a superhero. Like, you're just so great. Like, I had this problem and you solved it like that. And you're handsome and you're so smart. Like, I feel like those things. And so I think when men are standing there and there's this beautiful woman and all of these people who are like, hey, that's yours and that's gonna be yours forever. And she loves you so much and she's here for you. There's this sense of like, I'm perfect right now. Like, I'm perfect. And when a woman who you felt that way about is now disappointed in you and unhappy with you. Like, it's this like, oh shit, I lost that. I screwed that right up, and it feels like it's gone forever. Like, I can never be perfect again. That's the problem with perfection, is like you can never, if you're perfect and you stayed perfect. Whereas if look, I've had people who come in, I mean, it's amazing to me how many people come into a divorce lawyer's office and they say, well, I think, it's time, I think the marriage is over. And I'll say, okay, what's going on? And we'll talk about the history. And they'll say, yeah, he had a bunch of affairs, but, eventually I just sort of was like, yeah, whatever, and you kind of go, wow, really? Like, that was, they went, yeah, look, it's just like, it never really interfered with our life. And I just sort of went, like, whatever, he's an idiot, that's how it is. But then he did this, and it was like, that's a bridge too far. And you go like, that was a bridge too far? Like, all the girlfriends wasn't a bridge too far? But you don't hear that, because those women would never get up and say that in public. It just would not, in the current culture, it's like if you've made a fool of me publicly,
That's the
right?
problem.
That's the problem.
I also think that obviously sexual infidelity is an issue for both men and women, and it's different for individuals, right? But in my experience, a lot of women might not like extra partner liaisons in their men, but they'll kind of tolerate it more than if they took a woman that he wasn't sleeping with to like their little Italian restaurant that they went on to their first date.
Yeah.
It's like, you took her there?
I've said that before, that the question asked, when a woman says she cheated, the man says, did you fuck him?
Yeah.
And when a man says it to the woman, she says, do you love her?
And what's really interesting is the difference in reaction to what generally happens afterwards. When a man is confronted with the infidelity, what's the first thing he says?
She means nothing to me.
Exactly.
She meant nothing to me. She meant nothing to me. It's nothing. Which, by the way, I always thought is so odd. Like, it's kind of an odd thing to say. Like, hey, you know, I fucked this whole thing up. Don't worry, it was for nothing. It was for nothing. It was for something utterly meaningless. Like, that feels really cheap.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think that if it was the other way around and a man caught his wife cheating and the first thing that she said was it meant nothing, that guy would go ballistic.
Yeah, he'd go ballistic.
Like, it would be hard to hear that. But if the woman said, hey, we need to sit down.
Yeah.
I fought this for a long time, but I've fallen in love with somebody else. I still care about you, but I have to do this. We're going to get married. We're going to have a family together.
Yeah.
The guy would probably be crestfallen, but he'd like, okay, well, at least on some level, she didn't.
For something.
Yeah.
It had value. Yeah, like it was an investment. And maybe I wasn't the right investment for her. Like it was sort of okay, well, at least they kind of lived happily. I've actually had guys who come in, and you know, it's fairly common that people have, you know, a long-term affair, and then they're getting divorced, and they've already sort of, you know, they've got their replacement now lined up in the form of the person, which, you know, again, a man who leaves his wife for a mistress just kind of leaves a job opening. But what ends up happening is they then say, well, I'm going to settle down, you know, with this person, and the truth is, like, the men think, well, at least she'll see that this wasn't just me banging some girl. This was like, I'm really in love and it's something real and I'm committing to this person. And I have found the opposite happens. Like I have found my female clients in that position are like, oh, fuck you. You're gonna marry her? You're gonna introduce her to our kids? Like you're gonna do, are you kidding me? Like they would have been a lot more comfortable with the idea that it was like just some, you know, dalliance of some kind.
Yeah,
you know?
But they don't want to be embarrassed. I think that's the main thing, because then they have to be, they're put into the uncomfortable social position to either say, yeah, I know that this was happening, but it's our own private business, and
The Hillary Clinton debacle.
yeah,
I mean, she
that
couldn't
was very
pretend that it
difficult.
was like, oh, I had no idea. It's like it was notoriously, you know, this
But
was
she
sort
also
of what
didn't
was
leave.
alive.
You know, she had to.
Right.
Like,
But she
walk
also
that
still
line.
wanted to be, I'm a strong, independent, powerful woman who doesn't take any crap from men. And it's like, well, like, so is this, you're saying the quiet part out loud? Are you saying, listen, our marriage is a different kind of economy. What's important to us is ambition. What's important to us is raising our child or our grandchildren together. Like, his fidelity is not important to me. It's not a big deal to me. I don't really care. Good, delegate it. Let somebody else sleep with this guy. I don't feel like it. You know, so that feels to me like something people should be able to say, but yet that is not a message that would be well received.
Because we only consider the love marriage to be the legitimate union. And on some level, it's interesting, but we
Well,
can
if you
trace
don't
that
know
through
and I
history.
don't know, then we're really in trouble.
I could
I
have
don't know what to tell
some
you.
beliefs here.
Yeah.
I mean, this is something that's actually very new. And one of the things that I hear as a criticism to like my more economic model of relationships is that it feels so cold, so mercenary. It's like, who hurt you? This is a commodification of the heart from late stage capitalism. All you can think about is value. And it's like,
You're going to get a lot of the same comments, I guess.
this is how it was 200 years ago. It's like, my second son will marry your third daughter. You'll give
land
a flock
will
of sheep.
accumulate this much land, and it's great.
Yeah. And what's interesting is that I think the love marriage is actually a product of capitalism. Nowhere do you see where industrialization comes to a traditional culture, love marriages go through the roof and arranged marriages start to decline. And I think that's because for a long time, people have lived basically at a subsistence level, and we needed each other in a very real way for survival. And it wasn't time, you couldn't spend 10 years in courtship trying to figure that out. It's like, we need cobblers and we need children and we need to raise food.
Well, it's just, I was thinking the same thing when you said that. I thought, well, this is why the birth rates have declined, because it was like, I don't need kids to work the farm anymore. Like, kids are a liability now to some some degree. Kids are a cost. Kids are private school. Kids are clothes and pajamas and diapers.
As opposed to
and all
working in
those
the
things.
coal mine, they can
right?
bring in
As
some
opposed
money.
to being like, hey, good, that kid can till the fields. Like it's not.
Sure.
You know, I think at this point, if somebody has their kid outside mowing the lawn, it's like, why are you abusing your child this way?
Man,
you know?
really?
So
Is that
yeah,
bad?
I think it's sunk that far
No
down. But I
kidding.
mean, I represent a lot of wealthy people, so their conception of what their children's struggle is really, you know, it's kind of what happens when like you become parents, but your parents missed like all your dance recitals. You know, you just have this like, no, there's nothing more important than being at the dance recital. Like it's not, my kid does not need to learn discipline or values or hard work or anything. They just need to be heard and understood.
Yeah, I think that's that parent's unhealed emotional wounding from the disappointment of their own parents, which might have actually created character and built emotional resilience. That's the part about that kind of parenting that doesn't get a lot of airtime these days.
Yeah.
Is
And
could
when
actually
when it gets weaponized, it's dangerous because in custody battles, this becomes this person who has equal rights and equal access to this child. I am now perceiving them as an unreliable threat to my most important thing, which is my children. And so you can fight a lot about money in a divorce, but like a dollar's worth a dollar. So if you spend $100,000 arguing over a $150,000 bank account, even if you win, you didn't win $100,000. Like you didn't win, you lost some money no matter what. So custody though, like people will go, like I've had people spend $50,000 in counsel fees arguing over whether Thanksgiving in alternate years should begin on Wednesday and end on Sunday, or if it should begin on Thursday morning and end on Thursday night.
Now, is this going to be really cynical? Is that simply because of protectiveness and love for the children, or does that have something to do with
when you said that part, I wanted to like tussle your hair. That's adorable.
Right?
Like, yeah,
Because
no, it's got nothing to do with that. I don't think.
And it has to do with the more that a given parent has custody of the child, the more child support they're awarded. And isn't child support
Piece of that.
not
I think a
really
piece of it
based
is-
on what's necessary, but kind of what's available?
Yes, but I actually think there's more than that. I think it's because
Okay.
fuck you, that's why. Like, because what do you want? You want the kids to have when? No, yeah, I don't want that.
Have
why?
you been dealing?
Because fuck you, that's
Have you been
why.
dealing with parental alienation? Like,
All
is that
the
something
time.
that comes up?
It is not only am I dealing with it, it is the thing of the moment. It is like the judicial zeitgeist, the divorce thing. Like, you know how like 2024 is the year of my ex is a narcissist, my ex is gaslighting me. Like it's on the bingo card of shit people say now is malignant narcissist, gaslighting. Like for a little while it was like Black Lives Matter or All Lives Matter. Now 2024, it's been gaslighting, it's been narcissism. The 2024 into 2025, it is parental alienation is the thing, and what's called negative gatekeeping is the other thing.
I haven't heard that term yet.
So negative gatekeeping is a form of alienation. So to put it in its simplest terms when I explain it to clients, alienation is your father's an asshole. Negative gatekeeping is, hello, here it's your father. I just said your father's an asshole. I didn't have to say it out loud. And what's great is when the child's attorney or the judge speaks to the kid and says, does mommy ever say anything bad about dad? The kids tell him the truth when they say, no, she didn't say anything about dad. But she said, because here's the difference. What's the difference? Ready? Hey, did you have fun with dad? Oh, that's great. Where'd you guys go? Oh, you went to the park? Oh, that's nice. That's good. It was fun. Oh, good. Did you have dinner? Oh, what did you have? Pizza? Oh, good. I know you like pizza. All right, well, go upstairs, brush your teeth. I'm so glad you're home. I missed you so much when you were away this weekend. Oh my gosh. Are you okay? Yeah, you okay? Yeah, you had a good time. You were with dad? What you got? You went to the park today? It's so cold today. Oh my gosh, did you have pizza? That's all you had for dinner was pizza? Oh my gosh. Why didn't they give you any vegetables? Well, you know, it's okay. You know what? I'm gonna make your favorite soup. Go head upstairs, and when you come back down, I'm gonna make you your favorite soup, and we're gonna hang out and we can watch TV together, okay? What did I just do? What did I just do? I just alienated that kid from dad I just said, are you okay? That means dad's dangerous. Why would I not be okay? I was with my dad. Like this is what the face of alienation is now, is this negative gatekeeping model. It's this very clever, insidious way of like, I could have been helpful, but I've been so much more. Wow. You found this way to sort of pull the person out from it. And you will not be surprised probably to hear, for some of the reasons I think you just said very well, this is something women are really good at.
So
much
good
better than men.
That's what I was thinking about when
Men
you did
suck
your
at alienation.
Fantastic imitation there. It's so subtle and cunning. Like there's a difference between like regular gossip and high-level cunning female gossip. Regular gossip is like, did you hear about Janie and you know, she's slutting around and kind of things like that? That's regular gossip. High-level gossip is, you know, have you seen Janie recently? I'm a little concerned.
Or even the I think it's so great that Janie is just like out there. You know, she's so like she just doesn't care that she's gained a little weight. She's very like, hey, let's just
love
get
it. She's so happy
oh my,
and
isn't it
comfortable in
great?
her
And like,
body.
you know what? It's so I envy that in her. I'll tell you, because I'm like, you know, constantly at the gym. I watch what I eat. But Janie, oh my God, she just puts it all out there. She doesn't even care.
You totally get it, and most guys don't. It's almost like there's a disjunct, but we can't quite figure out what's going on yet because it doesn't feel right, but we can't really put our finger on what the issue is, a lot of guys.
I mean, I think the corollary to that, though, is that that's one of the reasons why male friendships, I think, are more trustworthy and resilient in some ways. Because men, like, if the guy doesn't like you, he's going to tell you he doesn't like you. And if he likes you, he's going to tell you he likes you. Whereas women's relationships, it's like, hi, how are you? And then the minute she leaves, like, oh my God, I hate her. Like, I have a bunch of female employees, and like, I watch them, and it's like straight up Pat Bateman sociopath shit. Like, they're just like, hi, how are you? Oh, it's so great. Good to see you. Okay, bye. Oh my God, I hate her. And it like literally puts a chill down my spine. Like, I could not, I'm fake for a living. I couldn't pull that off. That's incredible. Like, that is masterclass.
Yeah, they're playing games within games within games sometimes.
So then how do, because look, you and I have both been sort of like, pulled into a lot of red pill conversation, a lot of conversation. You know, we've talked to a lot of the same people. And I think a lot of the same audience is interested in our perspectives because we touch on some of the same material from different pieces. But this is the piece that like, it intrigues me that, again, how do we solve for? Because I am so good at problem identifying. Like, I'm great at identifying with you, but like problem solving is much harder, you know, on every level. So I feel like a lot of these issues, especially when I talk to judges, you know, and I'm in court talking about these kinds of alienation cases, these kinds of negative gatekeeping things. And I say, this is not a problem that has a judicial solution.
No, it has to do with teaching men kind of how women operate and what makes relationships work and thrive. I think in the masculine model, we have a different understanding with respect to, let's say, commitment and affection. To a lot of guys, it's almost like, hey, 20 years ago, I put on my tux and I said I do, so like, what more do I have to do?
Right,
like the president has sworn in once. We don't have to keep swearing the president in every day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I said it once.
That's a great metaphor.
That should be enough. What more do you want? I've already given you the biggest commitment any human being can give another person. Right. It's also important to understand that, as I say in the book, no one continues to pay the plumber. The plumber is very valuable when the toilet is clogged, and you're willing to pay top dollar to get that problem solved. But after the plumber has done his work, no one keeps paying him. So what's interesting in your example that you gave a few minutes ago, where the guy is like, hey, I gave her the kids, I gave her the house, I gave her everything, all that is in the past. All that is in the past. And the guy might reasonably think, well, doesn't that count for anything? But no one continues to pay the plumber. Everything with a woman that has occurred in the past is like dead. She takes that with her. It's like completely inaccessible in her memory, at the very least, and any kind of provision that you've given her, like she's already enjoyed. The only thing that a woman really loses when a relationship ends is that which she still wants but hasn't yet been given.
So how do we make so this is the interesting question then. How do we make a heterosexual coupling into a subscription model? Because really, what's the opposite of paying the plumber? Toilet clogged, got to pay the plumber. The opposite is, I'm going to have a subscription model. I'm going to pay this much per month whether I need the plumber or not. But then when I need the plumber, the fucking guy better show up because I've been paying $100 a month for the plumber. Now, I'm cool with that. Like if you look at my phone subscription model, I'm an easy mark. I have so many things that I'm paying $20 for the premium version that I don't even use the basic version because my attitude is at some point I went, all right, I might want to have that at some point. So we all do that. We all have like I wanted to watch one show so I subscribed to the AMC Plus or whatever it is. I wanted to watch Mad Men. So I subscribe to this thing and then you kind of forget it. Well, I might want to watch something at some point. I'll just keep it. So we are now in a world and in an economy where the subscription model is a pretty normal thing. Like I may not want it right now, but I may sometime soon. So I'm going to pay a little bit each day or pay a little bit each month. And in the aggregate per use, like this was useful. So how do we shift, if we had a cultural shift where, because I'm telling you right now, like, I don't know about you, if you said to me, there's a monthly amount you got to pay a plumber, but when the pipe breaks, you're the first guy. Like, he will be there for you because you've paid this certain amount. Now, again, I'd be skeptical. I'd be like, how do I know for sure until the pipe breaks? But like, it's service contracts on automobiles. That's what they're doing. I know I used to represent a lot of guys who own garages, and they said nobody keeps their cars anymore. And everybody now buys at the dealership a maintenance plan that they pay for up front, but they're gonna get for life, oil changes this many, this maintenance is all prepaid. So how do we get relationships on the subscription model?
Well, you can't negotiate that explicitly. It can't be like, hey, I'm going to give you this kind of lifestyle, and in return, I want sex 3 times a week and a blowjob, every other morning.
Why? This seems like a very honest contract.
Oh, that's going to kill the desire. It's like a lot of female sexuality.
Do you think we'll refuse that blowjob? Because I don't think we'll, are you saying the desire by the woman? Okay, all right, I was going to say, because I can't imagine if there was a negotiated blowjob that it's less fun of a blowjob. It's still a blowjob.
Let me just tell you, it's like...
the worst blowjob ever is great.
Okay. I don't know about that.
All right, maybe we've had different life experience.
Okay.
I don't know. My lived experience, Orion, has been,
Yes,
I remember the worst blowjob I ever
Okay.
got, and it was fantastic.
So the idea here is, when it comes to seduction, when it comes to cultivating arousal in women, the truth and directness are not really your friend. Imagine a date is going really well, you've had a couple drinks, the conversation's going good, there's some casual touching, there's some longing in the eyes. You still can't turn to the woman and say, hey, you want to come back to my place and fuck? You have to say, this has been great. How about you'd like to come up for a cup of coffee or something? Like, both of you know that there's no coffee that's going to be made, but it has to be kind of like covered with respect.
Yeah.
When you're too direct, it kills the vibe, it kills the fairy dust that often is necessary to cultivate female arousal.
But doesn't that, if we're gonna feed that, like if we're gonna, I get it. Like, trust me, I live in the world, I get it. I think an honest pickup line, like, do you want to fuck or should I apologize? Like, that is an honest pickup line. But
That's a good
in reality, like, I understand we don't do that, but here's the thing. You can't keep that, like, the marriage statistics, the divorce statistics is proof that at some point, you're gonna see behind the curtain. At some point, you're gonna know my love language. Like, you're gonna know, babe, let's go have sex. Like, well, that's gonna be something we're gonna, hey, did you wanna fuck tonight? Like, that's gonna be, we're not gonna be 5 years into a marriage and I'm gonna go, would you like to go to the boudoir and listen to my, see my etchings?
That could also be part of the problem. Like, you're not gonna say the etchings if you've been a...
Why, I have lovely etchings. You don't wanna see my etchings, Orion? Fine, I don't care. I don't wanna show you my fucking etchings anyway.
I use that line all the time.
Yeah,
You've
exactly.
gotta have something
I know,
else.
that's how I met you. Never mind, it's not, yeah.
Or else it becomes just too, it's too rote and mechanical, and a lot of the sex goes away, and when the sex stops, the relationship's kind of on the rocks. So it can't be etchings in the boudoir, but it has to be something else. Chris Rock has a great line, it's like, to keep the marriage alive, you have to be traveling and you have to be fucking.
Of
It's
course.
coming and going, right?
Of course.
So that's, I think, the greatest aphrodisiac to a woman in a relationship is foreign bed count.
But if we're gonna give Chris Rock his due, by the way, divorced guy, if we're gonna give Chris Rock his due, he also masterclass one of his routines about, while he was still married, he's like, I haven't had a blowjob in years. Oh, I've had fellatio.
Yeah.
He's like, but I haven't had a blowjob. I haven't had my dick sucked. And there's a difference.
When you say, hey, later, can we have a blowjob? You're going to get a fellatio. You're going to get fellatio. You're not going to get your dick sucked.
Yeah.
So it's different.
Yeah.
Now, the subscription model is interesting because I think it does kind of work. I think it's generally how women get into relationships these days. Because we live in a world that, for better or for worse, sex precedes commitment.
Sure.
Like the idea that everyone has these streaming services, the idea that you're going to pay up front a huge cost before you even get to sample the content, that's absurd.
Right. Well, or you get a little bit of the content. It's like the OF model, It's like, hey, you get to see a little bit, but you're going to get to see even more if you pay the monthly amount. And if you pay the extra monthly amount, oh my God, what you're going to see. Like, we all know there's no sex in the champagne room, but at the end of the day, part of you wants to believe there might be sex in the champagne room, And I think marriage, you've been in the champagne room a long time. You're like, no, there's no sex here. This is not going to happen. Like, you're not going to convince me that 6 more months in the champagne room is when the sex is going to show up again.
Well, that's because for most men, the champagne room is this secret, privileged location when they're single. And so where do the secret liaisons happen when you're married? In the shed. In the pool cabana with the tennis instructor. It's like the place changes, but it's still a little transgressive. It's still a little sneaky. It's still a little uncertain and dangerous, and that's actually what keeps passion alive.
Yeah, transgressive, I think, is a big piece because I do think a lot of my clients. Look, I've got like a PhD in infidelity with all of the people that are in my office that are there as a function. Either their relationships went sideways because of the infidelity, or the infidelity happened because their relationship went sideways. But somehow it was on that path that led you to the desk in front of me. And a lot of times there's this sense of they were like, yeah, but I felt alive.
Sure.
Like I felt alive for the first time in a long time. And you kind of saying to somebody like, yeah, you're going to lose like $20 million worth of your assets. And they're like, totally worth it.
Can't take it worth
Totally, yeah, totally worth it. Well, I think for high net worth individuals, it's a very different thing because the death of one is a tragedy and the death of a million is a statistic. So if you have $100 million and now you're only going to have $50 million, you're still going to be okay. Yep. So part of you goes like, fuck it. Like I'm going to, I'll pay $50 million to be free.
Yeah, marriage is for the very rich and for the very poor.
Yeah.
Because you can't get blood from a stone. That's the other way around.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. People say about New York that New York is a great place to be if you have money.
It is. So this is the first time I've been back to New York in 10 years. I used to live here.
We missed you.
Thank you. Yeah. And when I left, I was broke and living in public housing in Brooklyn. So it's a very different experience. And let me tell you, it's much more enjoyable.
Oh, it's so much better. Yeah, New York when you're poor is incredibly depressing.
It's tough.
Yeah, but when you have resources, New York is just like, it's a playground. There's so much to do. There's so many beautiful, wonderful, amazing things. And I think dating in this city is a very specific animal because one of the things I've always said to people they say, why are you in New York? Like, why are you in the city? Why are you in Manhattan? And I always say to them that whatever it is you're into, someone here is doing it at the highest level. Mm-hmm. So like, I don't know anything about like a boat in a bottle, but if you're like a boat in a bottle, I bet there's someone within 3 miles of this Times Square that is one of the best boat in a bottle making people in the world.
Well said.
And they're here, and so there's this feeling that you're just right in the middle of all that. And I think it's true of seduction. I think it's true of, I walk around, I live in Chelsea, so I walk around this part of the city. It's a lot of gay men in Chelsea, which a lot of them just look photoshopped. Like they are so good looking that on the elevator, I just stand there and I go like, my God, like that's insane that a person looks like at the gym I work out at the Equinox in Hudson Yards. It's stunning how good looking these people are. And the women, you will lose 100 IQ points, like just looking at, like I'm a incredibly comfortable speaker. I can tell a story while someone's trying to tell a competitive story and objecting to the story I'm telling, and you still won't knock me off it. And I literally go like intellectually disabled. I was talking to a friend of mine's girlfriend, and she was so distractingly beautiful that she was trying to make small talk with me. And I actually she went, oh, around here, is there a good, and I was like, there's a lot of shopping here. And I thought to myself, like, what is wrong? Like I could hear my brain going, what is wrong with you right now? But it really is, that's such a powerful intoxicant.
I think you can get used to it though, but you have to be around those types of women so much, which is not something that the average man gets access to. Like, have you been starstruck? I mean, you're now getting into conversations with all kinds of folks that maybe you would never have talked to, and maybe a few of those you're like, wow, I really like you.
Every once in a while, now I represent a lot of athletes and celebrities, and when you initially are with them, there's this feeling of, oh, you're like actually sitting in front of me. You're not just on the screen, or you're not on the Jumbotron, like you're just sitting in front of me. And then you find out like, oh, and you're kind of a mess.
Sure.
Like your life's kind of a mess.
Well, same with a lot of beautiful women. And I think that once you kind of talk to enough of them and date enough of them, then it does start to lose its luster a little bit.
Yeah, well, that's I wish I knew no astronomy when stars appear. I think there is a piece of you that goes, oh, it would be better if this could be admired like art.
Well, yeah, and I made an episode a long time ago about why I talk so much about sex and money. And the reason is to facilitate people's disappointment in those things. Because when a rich person gets on TV and says money isn't everything, he's right.
Yeah.
But everyone's going to think he's full of shit until it's like, oh, boo-hoo, what a tough problem to have, tens of millions of dollars. Or, beautiful women they're nice, but sometimes they come with a lot of costs, hidden costs associated with them. They're like, yeah, I think I can handle that problem, buddy.
I had a conversation with a stunningly beautiful woman who came into my office about a prenup. And she is marrying an incredibly wealthy man, C-suite executive, Fortune 50 company. And so and what she brings to the table, basically, she's very bright, she's educated, but she's mind-blowingly beautiful and quite young, probably in her 30s. And she's marrying a guy, he's in his 50s, he's divorced, and he is incredibly successful. And she was talking to me about, how he's very nervous to get married again. Like, he wants to marry her. They have a lovely, very fulfilling, beautiful relationship, but he got very burned in his divorce, as many men do. And he's just very reluctant. And she said, I don't know how to get around that. I don't, he's very distrustful. I mean, I know he loves me, but I've never lived in that world, so I can't really relate to the feeling he has. And I said, well, I've represented a lot of very successful, wealthy men in particular, and, everyone has an agenda. Like, they don't know, does this person genuinely relating to me because they like me, or is it because they know I can invest in their business, or I can buy them something, or I can give them access? She said, well, yeah, I guess just, I don't know what that's like. And I said, you don't know what that's like? A stunningly beautiful woman. You don't know, is this guy talking to me because he wants to have sex with me, or is this guy genuinely talking to me because he thinks what I have to say is interesting? Like, you have a wealth. And you don't quite know, is someone trying to get at it, or is someone legitimately interested in what I have to say?
Do you think she was just naive, or was she playing?
No, I think she never made those connections. No, I think she legitimately loves this guy, and I think that she had never connected the dots in her own head that the economy of her beauty taught her the same lessons that he was experiencing. She really was looking at me and saying, I don't understand why he doesn't trust me. Like, I don't understand why he doesn't believe that I love him.
This is interesting, because what I've noticed, some insanely beautiful women that I've known, it's like they live in a different world. They live in a different reality, and their reality is that people are good.
Oh yeah,
people are nice. Like, people are always coming out of their
They're
way
in the
to
bubble.
help me out.
Yeah, they're in the
this
bubble.
guy wanted to help me move, and this person was asking about my day, and people just are kind, and they go out of their way for each other. And Orion, why are you so jaded and mistrustful? It's like they all want to fuck you.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
No, that's not it at all. That's so gross.
Yeah, none of these guys even hit on me. Like, they didn't even hit on me, and you're like, right? But even if they didn't, I mean, look, and I see, as a heterosexual man, I see, like, I meet a lot of beautiful women and interact with a lot of beautiful women who I never have sex with and would never have sex with, and I'm not trying to have sex with. But I still feel this sense of like, oh, I want to open the door for them and be nice to them, and like why? Because it just feels good. It feels good to like have them smile at me. It just does. Like, it's a superpower. Beauty is a superpower of sorts, and wealth is a superpower of sorts. It's just one we're allowed to talk about. Like, we're allowed to talk. I think we're allowed to talk about, money in real terms, because money's like considered sort of profane to talk about to begin with. So why not just, like, I guess we're starting to, it feels to me like in the culture, we're starting to talk more about money in more honest ways, but we're not, there's still this wall we won't scale of trading beauty for money, trading sex for money, trading affection for money.
Well, what is it called when we trade sex for money?
I was going to say marriage, but no, I sex work, prostitution.
Yeah, it's prostitution. Yeah. And a lot of relationships are, at heart, that kind of transaction. Sure. But that's so undignified. Think about it in this way. We have to really protect people's self-worth and self-concept. We understand that when your assistants show up for work, it's not because they truly believe in your mission. It's not because they think that you are.
Isn't? Fuck. Yeah. I got to get rid of. Right? I got to get better people.
You understand that there is a professional relationship. They're trading their time and their service for your money.
Of course.
However, even in that professional mercenary context, you probably just don't dangle a wad of bills in front of them and say, "What are you going to do for me today? You want this, don't you? Dance for me." It's like that would be.
I stopped doing that years ago.
Right? Probably.
Yeah, I really got the HR complaints were outrageous.
Turnover, right?
Yeah.
So it's like even.
But the shit they do is amazing. No, I'm kidding.
And so people have to cover it with all of this culture of corporation.
Yeah, of course.
But really, at heart, a lot of this is the exchange of time and effort for money.
Of course.
But we even can't talk about that as explicitly in professional contexts because it seems too mercenary. Like,
See, it's funny because I think in my profession, I don't have the luxury of that illusion. Like, I think the reason why my message has resonated with people so much in the last 12 months is that, of the 30,000 comments on my first interview here, most, I haven't read all of them, but a bunch of them are, this guy's saying it like it is. This guy's spitting facts. Because I'm in the trenches, gang. Like, I'm sorry it's like this. Like, I'm as much a victim of it as anybody. Like, I'm in this thing with you too. But the truth is, this is what it's about. And I didn't kill it, but I'm the mortician. Like, I didn't make it rain. I sell the umbrella. Don't get mad at me. I get more hate mail from people saying, I get Google reviews. People send 1-star reviews. They're like, Sexton is jaded when it comes to relationships. I'm sitting there going, I just report the news,
yeah,
gang.
I don't make it.
Like, I'm not walking around bars, walking up to people going, you could do better than this wife of yours. Like, trust me, I don't need to convince people that marriage is not working for them. People have figured that out. It's not like if I said, fuck it, I'll stay home, everyone can just stay married for all I care. That's not how it works. Someone else would swoop in.
well, I think part of the reason why you don't have that luxury is because you're in a very high-paying profession. When the lower the compensation, the more culture needs to matter. But there's like medical doctors, that culture sucks. People work 120 hours a week in their internships. Sure. It's 10, 12 years before they start making any money. You work at a top-tier law firm, you work at a venture capital firm, they're gonna be like, I don't care about your fucking feelings, dude. It's like, get the results, or we have 100 people who are chomping at the bit to replace you.
100%.
And why do
There's a sign on the wall of my firm, it says, no one cares, work fucking harder.
It's because they pay really well.
100%.
Now, it's like everybody kind of, they understand kind of where they're willing to sell their time, right? And the more that they get, the more they're willing to dispense with some of the bullshit. But it's like, okay, I understand, I'm kind of prostituting myself, I'm selling my time for money.
Sure.
All right? But I'm okay with that because of how much I'm getting. And so I can dispense with some of the subterfuge.
Sure.
But no one wants to be a cheap prostitute.
Sure. Well, but I also like the honesty. I mean, there's an honesty to saying, because I do laugh sometimes where people say like, oh, how do you sleep at night? You make money off of the misery of others. And I'm like, look, I have a friend who's an oncologist. He makes money off of cancer. Like, he does. Like, cancer gets cured tomorrow. He's out of a job. Like, I don't think he's cheering for cancer. I think, if anything, he was fighting cancer like it's it's a villain. But people get cancer. Like, I am not in the position where I'm saying, like, listen, I don't think I'm going to run out of work anytime soon. I think the reality is we're going to continue to suck at this.
Yeah, I don't think that they became miserable as a consequence of interacting with you.
Absolutely not. They were miserable when they got here. Yeah. I mean, I actually don't even, when I first talk to people in the context of a consultation, normal human communication is stymied because normally we meet, so how you doing? One of the first things you say is, how are you?
Fuck that, if I'm paying you every minute.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah. But if it's a consult, I mean, normal pleasantries are, hey, how are you? You're fucking talking to me. You're in a divorce lawyer's office. You're not good.
I'm good.
Like, no one's, it's nice to meet you. It's not fucking nice to meet me. Like, this is nice to meet me. But, like, it's not nice to meet me if you're getting a divorce. Like, if you're in my office, something went wrong. This was not the plan. Things did not go to plan. So I really do get that, but we know this, and we just can't say it out loud. And that's the part I still don't get, why we all know, like, anybody who, like, I watch your stuff, and I've referred friends to your stuff, and they all go, oh, he's 100% right. I mean, I'm not just talking men, I'm talking women. Like, I have so many women in my life, I've said, you gotta watch Ryan's stuff, and they watch it and they go, oh yeah, he's 100% right, this guy gets it. And I go, then why can't we just say this? Why can't we just say it out loud? Why can't we talk about, like, can't we just put this on a billboard somehow and go, okay, guys, like, the emperor has no clothes. We've all agreed now, the emperor has no clothes. We kind of get what happened here. We get what attraction might be born of. And this guy kind of gets, like, the raw ingredients a little bit. So maybe we could tinker with it and come up with something different. We can use the subscription model. We can instead of getting married, we could lease with an option to buy. I don't know. We could figure something out. We could have a renewable contract that's every whatever many years, something. Like, why can't we Uber marriage?
I think that it's moving in that direction. I talk about the future relationships, the final chapter of my book.
I haven't gotten to the final chapter.
I was contacted by some law firm a few months ago, they're specializing in alt marriages. That's what they're calling it. So it's a way of commemorating a union in, let's say, non-conventional ways, which could just be like a really custom-tailored prenup. I guess that's kind of what it is. But
I've never heard of this.
yeah, I think that's probably a term that we're going to be hearing more and more of.
Alt-marriage.
Yeah, alt marriages.
I mean, I don't think there's anything new under the sun, but I do think there are different, like, I've been waiting for somebody to Uber marriage, to figure out, like, okay, how do we do this differently? Like, how do we employ a different set of rules and not have to be ashamed of it? How do we make it into a feature, not a bug? Like, how do we do that? And I do see like an increase in people talking about ethical non-monogamy. I see people talking about not marrying. I see tremendous increase in the number of people coming in for prenups. And again, it's not just in my office. I mean, I see a lot of people coming to me for prenups because I talk a lot about prenups publicly. So people now identify me as someone who's a prenup person. But I talk to all of my colleagues who are not in the media space and who are just straight up divorce lawyers working in the trenches. And they all say, like, oh yeah, the number of prenups is quadrupled. Like, we're all, like, there's a order of magnitude increase in prenups. And I'm really interested in why, in the middle of that, like, so we all agree that's happening, but no one's talking about it. Like, no one's putting on their social media, like, it's oh, we got the cake, oh, I picked the dress. It's not like, oh, we're going to get the prenup now. Like, we are still, you know what I mean? We've destigmatized mental health. Like, there was a time where if I said in this interview, well, I've been in therapy for a long time and I think it's really beneficial to me, it would have been like, oh, Jim's in therapy, like, is he all right, Whereas now, like, we've kind of destigmatized mental health. For men to say, oh, I have a therapist, I talk to a therapist, I don't think it's as crazy as it once was.
Sure, absolutely.
But why is a prenup still like, oh, they have a prenup, like, oof?
Because it's supposed to be a love marriage. That stuff is not supposed to matter. You're just supposed to believe in the mission of the company.
And we think those two things are incompatible? That it can't be a love marriage and you have a prenup? Like, I think you're a safe driver, but I'm wearing my seatbelt.
Right? I think it's actually very difficult because what is a marriage? A marriage is basically a business agreement. And the fundamental premise of every relationship is the exchange of unequal goods of comparable value. But that's very different from love. The idea of love, ideally, is that I'm going to put the good of the other ahead of myself. You can't do both of those two things simultaneously. You can't be putting the other's needs ahead of your own and still worried if you're getting your fair share in the transaction. And so what happens is that people vacillate back and forth in their relationships because those two things, relationship and love, they're actually antagonistic. They can't occupy the same psychological space at the same time. One minute, the woman is just happy to be in the presence of her loved one. And in the next minute, she's wondering if her boundaries are being respected and if she could do better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The idea, could I do better, is anathema to love. The idea that there's any kind of transaction at all is completely disgusting to love because love doesn't give with the expectation of gain. It's always provided as a free and spontaneous gift given at the pleasure of the giver with no strings attached for their own inscrutable reasons. And expecting something in return cheapens love, which is correct.
Yeah.
But that's not why relationships work. Like, love is not enough to make a relationship work.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, most people, I talk about this on the channel and in the book, is that love has nothing to do with relationships.
Oh, 100%.
And we know this because it's certainly possible for people to be married to each other and to not love each other, and to simultaneously love people that they're not in relationships with.
Sure.
Right?
Well, and one of the things that always appealed to me about your talks and the Psychax channel, and like, I love the short talks. And one of the things that you come into all the time, a space that you end up occupying all the time, is this idea of like being very, like, whoever discovered water, it wasn't a fish. Like, we're all in this thing, and so we don't see it. And I feel like you pull back a lot of curtains, and you do it in a way that doesn't feel cynical, which I think is a really hard, that's a tight wire act. Like, I don't feel like, there are so many people that seem so cynical, and they're misperceiving, calling something in an honest way, being the fish who sees the water, as like, oh, you've taken away the romance of it. You've taken away, whereas I actually think that could deepen tremendously the romance of it. It can deepen tremendously because we're still, as you said, it's unequal goods of, or sorry, it's differing goods of equal. Okay, so it really is a question of like we're both bringing something to this transaction,
Sure.
and I think that if marriage is about codifying that in a legal way, like if the idea is not just this performative party that we're going to have, which by the way, I think has tremendous value. Like I think there is value in saying something out loud.
I think the party should happen after the last kids have launched, because then they've actually can celebrate what they set out to do.
Well, I actually, and I guess it's because I tend to be of the belief that if the first time you have all the people you love in one room is your funeral, you're an idiot. So I like to have, like, people should celebrate more things more often. I think get the tribe together more often. But one of the ideas I think is very beautiful about marriage is if a wedding was about, hey, I found my person. Like everybody, I found my person. Like, see, it's my person. Like, and by the way, like, I need your help. When you see me looking at some other girl, could you be like, hey, dude, remember? You had your person, right? Like support me. Like, help me. We need your help. Like, help me. Like, this is tough out there. And like, help me keep my eye on the ball. Help me not lose the plot. You know, and if you see her or him running around, like, let me know. And I'm going to wear this ring. And that's going to be to let everybody know, like, hey, guys, nope, sorry, I got one already. Like, found one, sorry. Like, but why couldn't we just say that's what it is? Why does it have to
I've
be?
been to some weddings that say that part.
Have you really?
Yeah, and it's nice.
That's good. That is nice.
It is.
Yeah, there's something real about
it. The issue,
it.
though, is that the looking and the running around are generally symptoms of something else that most people don't see. It's very difficult to know what actually transpires between two people behind closed doors.
Amen.
The emotional dynamic can take a long time to suss out. And a lot of people, haven't you been surprised, maybe in your own social group, where I thought they were fine, they seemed like a happy couple, and no, man, we haven't had sex in 5 years.
No, I assume everyone's miserable.
Really?
Yeah, because of what I do for a living. I mean, you know,
Until
but
proven
I'm
otherwise.
aware of that.
It's
You know,
safer
look,
bet.
I'm aware of that. My friend who's an oncologist doesn't walk around going, dude, everyone has cancer.
Well, everyone does.
Everyone, because everyone he meets has cancer. Like, he understands this is what he does for a living. Like, if he was a cab driver, he'd still meet some people with cancer, but not so many. Like, I understand. I look at everyone and go, oh, yeah, they're probably miserable.
Well, it's
like,
an interesting-
statistically.
Maybe let's go with that analogy here, because on some level, everyone does have cancer. Like cancer it's just sort of a naturally occurring phenomenon, but it generally gets kept in check by your immune system, and so it doesn't fluoresce into the syndrome of cancer, right? Now, put that in the context of relationships and perfection. It's like everybody has these flaws, everyone has these darknesses, everyone has these imperfections, but they can be sort of covered over and dealt with in a healthy functioning relationship so that they don't fluoresce and become this cancerous tumor. That's really the issue. And then when it gets so bad, that's when somebody's running around.
Well, 56% of this cancer will kill you, you know what I mean? So if divorce is what it is, I think there's something very, I don't know, you and I are representing, I think, different sides of the same coin. I think that, you know, I'm the guy who's burying this thing, but the fact that I have to bury it shows that there was something that went malignant with it. And I think that the reason I find what you have to say so fascinating is it's the best explanation I've ever heard. Because my job is to oversimplify what happened for the purpose of good storytelling.
Okay.
Like I want to, it's like
gotta do that a
pro
little bit,
wrestling.
too.
I want, right, but see, your pursuit is more fundamentally honest than mine. Mine is advocacy. Like my job is to get up and say, Your Honor, it's all her fault, or it's all his fault, and then tell a story that resonates with the trier of fact, or makes the other side feel scared. It's the gig. So, but there is still, I know I'm full of shit. Like, I know I'm paid to tell a story. And by the way, the judge does too. But does the jury know
that you're full of shit?
You know what? Here's the truth. The truth is that you know that the shark's not real in Jaws. You know it's a machine, but it's still scary. Like, it's still powerful imagery. It's still, so listen, I think there is a suspension of disbelief. Like, I think that judges, the best advocacy doesn't feel like it's advocacy. When I go in a courtroom and I go, listen, judge, I know most of the time I'm advocating for my client because they're paying me $750 an hour, but today I have the privilege with this guy because this guy, for real, he is like a legit good guy.
Great strategy.
But it works. It's the reality of what lawyers do. But fundamentally, like, we know we're advocates. That's our job. Like, my job's to tell the story. And I could just as if she'd come into my office 15 minutes sooner than he did, I'd be telling her version of the story probably better than her lawyer does. So I know fundamentally I am not here to get to the truth. I am here because something broke down and I'm weaponizing, against the other person. That's my job. But your job is A, trying to figure some of this out, reverse engineer, and figure out that this complicated dynamic, as you just said, that none of us are really being that honest with ourselves about.
No one was telling me. I had to learn a lot of this shit the hard way by failing and also by learning and studying. Like, I got really good at understanding relationships out of necessity. I wanted to get better at them. I was tired of having poor relationships. And let me tell you, I've turned that franchise around. It's like, it's so much better in the last 10 years.
And you find for yourself in terms of like the ability for this to be teachable? Because
Absolutely.
I see people on the other end. Like I just see when it's all gone wrong. And it's not, like I wrote 2 books on staying happy in your relationship. And all I did was talked about the shit I see people doing wrong. I didn't really, I don't know what intelligence is, but I can spot stupid a mile away.
But that's really important. So there was this really significant relationship study that was done at the Gottman Love Lab. Do you know John Gottman?
Sure.
Okay. And basically he examined these couples having interactions and the micro-expression of emotion, et cetera, et cetera. And basically what he said is that for a marriage to have any chance of not falling apart, there needs to be at least 5 positive interactions for every 1 negative interaction. And so one of the interpretations that I have from that
5
finding,
positive for every 1 negative.
Yes.
So the negative has that much more persuasive power.
That's exactly what I'm getting at. So that wasn't stated in the study, but to me, you can look at that and say, that means that pain is like 5 times more painful than pleasure is pleasurable.
Yeah.
And so for a lot of people, it's not necessarily like you have to do all of these good things.
Yeah.
You have to stop doing the
bad
fucking
things.
bad things.
And what's so funny about this is for all of us who are in any way in the public space where there are the comments, right? Like, if I read if you go on like Goodreads and read the reviews of my book, 500 positive reviews are eradicated in my heart by 1 that says, this guy's a fucking idiot. And it's that 1 just guts to me. It's the only thing I'll remember. I have so many positive comments on things, and then you read the 1 negative one, and you're like, ooh, what is it about? And see, again, to tie it back to what we were talking about before, that's the thing, in a relationship. Like, I've made her happy so many times. I've made her smile so many times, and now I'm going to disappoint her for a second. And it's like, fuck, I just screwed the whole thing up. And that's why guys are so afraid to have the prenup conversation, because they're going to have to say, like, we're going to get married. We're getting married. It's great. Yeah, and we're going to go and we'll do the church you wanted to do. Oh my God. And you're going to have your bridesmaids. Oh my God. And by the way, obviously I think we should sign a prenup. Wah, wah, wah. And it's like 1 negative.
Don't set yourself up for the prenup.
Well, I'm not, that would be terrible. But yes, I advocate for a living. I would not do it that way. Yeah, I would not. Babe, look at all the 10 things I gave you. So here's the shit. Yeah.
Well, I've counseled some guys about how to approach the prenup conversation. And the way that I generally say is you have to kind of reframe the options. It's the choices are not getting married with the prenup or getting married without the prenup. The choices are we're going to get married with the prenup, or I'm just going to continue to love you and we're going to keep doing exactly as we've been living and nothing will change and you know that I'm devoted to you. And
I was interested to hear how because I have to tell you how many guys, this is the closest thing to a psychologist I get to be, because I have so many guys who come in and go, how do I have the prenup conversation?
You do a lot of psychology in what you do.
Well, I mean, my undergraduate degree was in psychology, but I have to tell you, and I think I use it in equal measure to my law degree, but the conversation I have more often than anything else, it just repeats over and over, is men saying to me, how do I bring up the prenup? And I have a lot of different theories on how to do it. I've talked about it a lot over the years, and I think my view of it has even changed as to how to do it. I do lately I encourage them more to talk about there is a prenup. It's just whether the government imposes it or the 2 of you. And wouldn't the 2 of you, as choosing each other out of 8 billion people, aren't you more qualified to decide the rule set that both of you should feel secure under? But it's still like I'm very interested to hear what you think the entry points should be.
Well, you control the options, like I said. You talk about how you already have a prenup. It's just the default contract that has nothing to do with you and me. And then you also kind of approach that we're going to make this relationship safer this way. The most common objection that I hear from women to the idea of a prenup is, you're already planning for failure? Like, why
Right.
are you going
100%.
into this
100%.
thinking that it's not going to work out?
Yeah.
Like, why are we even doing this to begin with?
Yeah.
And what I've discovered through a lot of my male clients is that a lot of women are actually very ignorant about some of the realities about divorce that tend to be more felt by men. And I think that when you see these statistics where 70% of divorces are initiated by women, one of the, I think, incorrect interpretations of that statistic is that women just are disloyal or they can't commit.
Yeah.
I think they're just human. And like most humans, you can't indefinitely put a commitment ahead of your immediate self-interest.
Sure.
And we don't want to incentivize breaking a commitment. And so by working around the incentives around separation and divorce, we actually make it more likely that both parties will come together to prevent that outcome.
Yeah. I think you and I both have been in spaces where people talk a lot about that 70%, initiated by women statistic, and they, I think, interpret it the wrong way. Because I have said in my practical experience, it is in part because men have a tendency to just leave. Like when a man wants to end the marriage, he very often just leaves. And then the woman says, okay, what do I do? He left, he's not paying the mortgage, he's not paying child support, what do I do? And I say to them, well, we have to file for divorce. And they say, well, I didn't want to get divorced. He's the one who left. I want him to come back and stay married to me. And I go, I'm sorry, I can't just go to a court and say I want something. I have to file an action. And this is not an automotive injury claim. This is a domestic relations claim. I have to file for divorce if I want to get you child support, if I want to get your mortgage paid on a temporary basis. And so they are forced in that way to file divorce. Now, I'm not saying there aren't women who are like, hey, I've cashed out and now I'm done and I want to cash my chips because I got this guy for as far as I can get it and I got some kids with him and now this is going to be a steady income for 21 years. There's some of that, but there's definitely a lot of men that just go, yeah, I'm going out for milk and never come back.
Sure, that happens. And there's definitely the really cold-blooded mercenary women that you just described. But I think that for a lot of cases, it's somewhere in the middle,
100%.
right? And if people lie to each other, they first and foremost lie to themselves. And sometimes it's better if we aren't fully aware of the incentives under which we operate. And that's the amazing thing about incentives is neither party actually needs to be aware of the punishments and the rewards that they're enacting on each other for those punishments and rewards to be effective. And just holding that out there might be enough for a woman after a certain amount of time to just say, hey, I need to prioritize my own happiness, or I need to kind of find myself. Yeah, and there are incentives that would reward that behavior. Like if that self-discovery came at a significant cost to her, she might not now be considering that as an option. But if that's a subsidized period of self-exploration that happens after divorce, I think it's more likely that a woman might rationalize her decision in that way, even though the decision is in line with the obvious incentives.
But an interesting question on the prenup front, because you said something that struck me, but it also struck me as sort of, I don't want to say naive, but it struck me as sort of like, wow, that would be bold. Is the suggestion of, well, look, we're either going to get married, you're going to sign this and we're going to get married, or we're just going to continue in, this permutation that we have, which feels very honest to me. It's saying, look, the price of admission is this, and if you're not comfortable with that, then I'm not comfortable with what you're proposing in the concept of us being married. Now, I think there's an honesty to that, and I really admire the honesty of that, but that's with my heterosexual male brain. Like, I also think saying to your romantic partner who you're married to and you have children with, listen, babe, we used to have a bunch of sex. Like, I like having sex 4 times a week. We used to have sex 4 times a week. Now we have sex once a month. So I'm okay with you delegating that responsibility to have sex with me 4 times a week to someone else, if you're okay with it. But you don't get to say, I'm not having sex with you, but don't have sex with anybody else. Like, that feels to me very dishonest.
It's very dishonest.
So if there is, like, what is it about that kind of honest communication that is such a stigma? It's so problematic to just say that.
Oh, there's so many reasons for that. So first of all, the number one objection to the prenup is like, it doesn't feel like you love me. Like
It doesn't feel organic anymore.
it doesn't. That's what's supposed to happen. It's like there's supposed to be a meet cute, and we just sort of bumped into each other, and everything just sort of happened, and I don't know why, and he kept insisting, and so why not? And so the alternatives are, we either do this because we are entering into a business agreement, which is going to complicate the relationship, or I just continue to love you, and I love you so much, and that's why I want to do this.
Yeah.
And no, we'll just continue to love each other. Like, I absolutely love you, and I want you to be in my life, and nothing will change.
Yeah.
Because you don't want anything to change, right? Like, what we have is good. That's why you want to get married.
Yeah.
So let's keep that.
Yeah.
Let's keep that, because let's not
just
mess
doing
with
what I do for a living, just hearing even someone do the imitation of that, I find myself going like, but that really is. Like, the lies we tell ourselves, or the story that we want to believe, like, oh my God, like, believing that Star Wars was nonfiction is easier to me than believing what you just said.
Really?
Like that, because that's just such a, the idea that, like, people just, I don't know, maybe it's because I just watch it all burn all the time. But like, and to see how when intimacy is weaponized, like when you were brave enough to be completely yourself to me. Like, you cried at the aisle when you saw me and when I found my person. And the person goes, by the way, these are all the soft spots. Like, this is where it really hurts when someone hits me. And that person now turns around and goes, I know just where to hit you. I know just where to hit you. Like, it is the ugliest thing in the world. And it is so brutal. And it leaves people so broken. Like you have never, it's the old, why do cannibals not eat divorced women? Because they're bitter, and it's true, because there is a kind of person, quite often women, but there's men too, who is so wounded by divorce that they go so hard in the paint in the other direction that they are just like, oh, it is such a con. Like, I gotta say, of the millions of views, like, there's gotta be a few 100,000 guys that watched this and went like, oh yeah, like, it's such a con. This is the most culturally accepted con ever. Like, they're running around like Soylent Green is made of people. Like, how do you not see this? How do you not see what's going on? And I think a lot of them watched my first video here, and they went, this guy, and he knows, because he's right there with his nose in it. And I think there's something about that like, they're shouting it from the mountaintops, and I don't know how the power of like lust or passion or love is enough for, like, women to go like, don't listen, it's fine. Don't even, let's watch a different video. Let's watch a cat video. And the guy goes, okay, like, that's not gonna happen to us. Like, we're good. It's gonna be great. It's gonna work out, The voices of women and men who have been brutalized by divorce and by the divorce industrial complex, which I am a part of, is that anyone would go, oh yeah, we don't need a prenup, we're good. Like, we're good. We're in love. We met cute. We're doing the whole thing. It's great. Like, I don't know how you suspend disbelief like that. I just don't know. That's why I'm just going to keep reading and watching everything you do, because I just keep watching it and going like, I'm trying to understand the delusion. I'm trying to understand the delusion that everyone seems to have bought into, because I feel like I'm running around going, God, how do we not see this, gang? Like, can't we just call it for what it is? It is what it is. Can't we just call it that? It doesn't mean we don't value each other. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't have sex and fall in love and start families and all that stuff, but couldn't we just do it knowing what it is?
Well, this might sound cynical, but probably part of it
More cynical than that?
Yeah,
that's a lot.
it's like there's something that I call functional ignorance. It's like I've worked in a number of offices during my internships. I never learned how to work the copier. Like, I didn't want to learn. I didn't want to be trained, because I didn't want to be the only guy in the office who knew how to fucking work the copier. Because every time the copier got broken, I'd have to do it, right? So I would be like, I'm not really good with machines. Maybe I'd do it badly and be like, okay, Orion, you do something else. Okay. So sometimes it's in people's.
Like, Orion's great, but he doesn't know how to use the fucking copier.
I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, I wish.
So sometimes it works out best for people to not learn certain things, to not know certain things. And if the core of relationships is this transaction of value, maybe it's better served some parties if it's a little bit obscured, because then we're not counting so closely.
Yeah.
It's actually possible to get more when we're not actually counting every penny under those circumstances.
Yeah, it's also, it speaks to your value, to use your situation that you described. Like, well, we keep Orion around even though you can't use the copier. Because it says something about, listen, like if you're great at everything, then of course we keep you around. But if it's like, hey, we keep Orion around because he's so good at the other shit, he wouldn't even know how to use the copier. And we're like, we love this guy.
Yeah.
Because that's how much value he brings to the table. And there's a lot, I think, in relationships of that. Like I certainly know women who, if they're being honest, like what I talked about before, about women that say like, oh yeah, he cheated, but I was kind of like, you know, he was just whatever, he's just running around. They're like, listen, he's so great that he can afford to cheat. Like, it's sort of like, you know what, listen, I kind of was like, yeah, it would have been better if he was monogamous, but you know what? He's like so amazing that it's like, all right, like he's not monogamous, and I kind of am just gonna deal with it, because I still get to be the woman he comes home to, I still get to be his partner, I still get to have all the things that come with being with him. And would I like it better if he was monogamous? Sure, he might like it better if I was a bigger cup size. But you know what? Like, we both are pretty happy with what we got. We both are like, you know, my cup is running over, you know, I'm happy. So
And that speaks to where most women actually enter into relationships. And this is a bit provocative, but I think that most women would rather occasionally share a Porsche than have total ownership over a Honda.
Yeah.
And so,
But in a performative social media world, that's openly antagonistic to that truth, isn't it?
of course, you have to pretend that that's not actually happening, right?
Right. And so is that in part why we're in such rocky water right now? Is this because that reality, that a woman would rather have a partial ownership interest in a Porsche than a full ownership of a beat-up Honda. But you've got to show everybody what you're driving. And you got to try to create the impression that you're so great that this is your Porsche and nobody else is allowed to drive it. And I think that's a big piece. Like, that's a big piece. And I think before we were so performative in our relationships, it wasn't, the stakes weren't as high, or the pressure didn't feel as intense, right? Or if the mask started to slip, there wasn't like the immediate recognition by a large group of people that something's going wrong, you know? See, it's funny when I watch people on social media, the more someone is telling me how happy they are in their relationship, the more fucked up I think that relationship
Well, yeah,
probably
because
is.
what if you actually had something really good? Like if I knew a fantastic Italian place on the Lower East Side that had like 4 tables, it was inexpensive, the food is fucking delicious.
Yeah.
Nobody knows about this place.
that's all
I'm not
anybody.
going to tell anyone about it because they're going to
100%.
ruin it. Like
100%.
other people knowing about shit generally doesn't make that thing better.
Yeah.
If you actually have something good, you don't want other people to know about it because that's just going to attract envious attention.
Well, and I actually think too, you don't really fucking care. Like, I think if you're
people are really
actually happy,
self-absorbed.
like if you're actually happy, you're just out being happy.
That's right.
Like you're just happy. Like I have to tell you, like I don't look at people's professional lives and go like, oh, that guy's got the best gig, because I got a great gig. I love my gig, so I don't really worry. Like I don't look at someone's car and go, I wish I had that car. If I wanted that car, I'd buy that car. Like I don't need that car. I don't want that car. It's fine. Like it's great. Listen, I mean, good for you. I'm so like, everybody go be happy. If you're happy, you want everybody to be happy. But if you're not happy, it's pretty painful to watch other people be happy or appear to be happy.
I think it's a cycle because people start out and they're looking on Instagram, they're looking on social media, and we have a peephole into the top 0.1% of humanity. And it's like these fabulous vacations and houses and beautiful women.
And we're watching their greatest hits.
And they think, man, if I had those things, then I will be happy, right? And so then it becomes, well, how much is about having those things as opposed to being the person that other people envy, which is a really strange thing. Like, I think for the first time in human history, people are actively cultivating envy.
100%.
Like, why would anybody want
to cultivate one of the 7 deadly sins within other people?
I mean, in
or
Eastern
themselves.
Europe, they have those hands to ward off the evil eye. I'm Ukrainian ethnically, and I saw my grandmother smile in public like once. Because in Ukraine, if you're smiling, like, why the fuck do you have anything to smile about? I'm miserable.
Yeah.
You should be miserable too. Do you have something that you shouldn't have?
Oh, yeah.
It's like if you have something good, you don't want other people to know about
Yeah,
it.
you don't want to display it in that way. And I think we've really, as a culture, again, because I think there's this performative reward thing happening in social media. I watch the arc of when I get new employees. So like a new office person will come in, and it's usually like a young woman. And she's usually like, because you're taking a job as an administrative assistant or a paralegal, so it's an entry-level type of a job. So it's a young person. They're making good money, but they're not making like insane money. And they really believe, like, they start to look at the numbers that are in our office of like what people have who are our clients, and they go, wait, is that an extra zero on there? And you go, no, that's what he makes, or that's what he has. And they really kind of go, wait, how is he not happy? Like, how is that person not the happiest person in the whole wide world? And they realize they're actually just like miserable in a limousine, as opposed to happy in a Honda. We're picking on Honda, but it's much sponsored by Honda, but it really,
Mark,
we're not going to get that. Yeah, you're going to be like, oops, sorry, Honda. Yeah. But the truth is, like, it really is watching them realize this idea that, like, money creates, real solutions to imaginary problems and imaginary solutions to real problems. And the problems of loneliness and the problems of addiction and the problems of, of disconnection in the context of a romantic relationship, like, these are all things that money can't really solve for. I mean, it can balm certain things, it can create interesting distractions for a period of time, but fundamentally it can't solve those problems. I think watching people become, I don't want to say disillusioned, but become like, oh, so wait, there are limitations to what this mysterious, like, oh, if I had beauty, if I had money, if I had access, if I had this car, that I would be happy. And then the truth is watching, I mean, how many celebrities?
Yeah.
Their marriages are, I mean, I do celebrity divorces, and the only reason some of these people stayed together as long as they did is they have the money to live in separate places, and they have a plausible deniability because they can say, oh, we're not separated, I'm shooting a film. I'm shooting a film, I'm on location, and I can't tell you how many people come in and they say to me, oh yeah, we haven't been in the same room in 3 years.
But that even happened in the 1950s, which is sort of like the idealized conservative notion of marriage and partnership. That was the age where the husband was a traveling salesman and he was on the road for 200 days out of the year. Yeah. And I think you had that great line on your first interview that people signed up for better or for worse, but not for lunch.
But not for lunch, yeah.
It's like having an office has saved more marriages than probably any other single intervention in the history of that institution.
100%.
Like,
Put
you
yourself
have to have some place to go.
Well, my mother used to say to me when I was young, she said, you have to have somewhere to go, something to do, and someone to love. And the someone to love, she even said, like, it doesn't even have to be a romantic partner, but you have to have somewhere to go, something to do, and something to love, something to feel passionate about, something to feel excited about, something that loves you when you love it, whether it's a pet, whether it's a whatever, whether it's friendship. And I think if you're missing any of those three things, there's a hole in a person, and then you start trying to shove it down with, fill it with other things. So I don't know. I don't think either of us is ever going to be out of work anytime soon. I think we're both, because I don't think anybody is getting better at this. I think this is getting more challenging because the stakes feel higher, and the performative nature of social media now has made it very, very hard for people to, there are really not, people used to have certain lives of quiet desperation, but now it's like more depressing than ever insofar as it's quiet desperation while putting on this huge happy face all the time for the camera. And I think that, New York, I used to say that New York has a unique loneliness to it.
It's the most lonely place
because you're so surrounded by people and no one is interacting with each other or talking to each other, and you could fall down and people would just walk right over you. Yeah. Whereas, like, if you're in a small town, and there's so much less population density, and yet you feel like you're there, you feel like you're not alone, you feel like you're present. So I remember the first time I was in California or Vermont, and I went to like a store, and I'm you know, the girl behind the counter is like, how you doing? And I'm like, good, how you doing? And she's like, well, my cat's been sick. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, no.
That was a throwaway.
No, no. Let's try this again.
That.
I'm gonna say, you say, how you doing? I say, good. I say, how you doing? You go, good. And then that's it. Then you give me my shit and I leave. Like, don't put that on me. Now I'm gonna worry about your cat? Like, what, I gotta do that now? Like, this is not, but it really is. Like, there are still places where people actually ask, like, how are you doing? And they not only will answer, but they actually expect you to answer, like, oh, you know, I'm having a hard time. Really? What are you having a hard time? Like, and it's really this interaction that, as a New Yorker, I can't even fathom that. Like, I speak fluent sarcasm, but I don't get that, you know?
Yeah, loneliness is tough. That's why I thought New York was the loneliest place I ever lived. There's people everywhere, but you're not making connection. The loneliest I ever was in a relationship with a woman that I didn't feel seen by.
Well, that's what I was going to say, is the marriage has a loneliness to it. A bad marriage has a loneliness to it.
And I think that's interesting because we talk a lot right now about the loneliness epidemic that's uniquely affecting men. And I think the stereotype image that a lot of people have in their imagination about this lonely guy is he's divorced, he's friendless, he's drinking himself into a stupor on his couch. Some of these men are married to women who don't see them.
100%.
They've devoted their life to work and the family, so they have no friends. Maybe they get together with the buddies once a year. It's like a productive man is in many ways a lonely man. If he's just, I know some guys, they get up, they work for 10 hours to provide money, and then they go home and do childcare, and it's...
Right, and they feel valueless in it. Because I talked about in my first interview, I talked about the fact that, you know, I had a client who had 3 or 4 young, beautiful women who he was just paying for things of theirs. And I said to him, like
that was the explicit arrangement, or he felt...
Yeah, like he met them on like a, you know, whatever dating site.
A seeking arrangement?
It was that kind of a site, but he was not sleeping with any of them. He wasn't doing anything with them. And I said to him, I'm like, you really weren't sleeping with any of these women. Like, you were just like helping. And he said, I would tell you, Jim, it's attorney-client privilege, I can tell you, I was not sleeping with them. And I said, what was the appeal? And he said, I felt like their hero. He's like, they were so happy. He's like, I made them so. He goes, my wife is just never happy with me. Like, everything I do, I did it wrong. Everything I do, I could have done something. Like, if I'm at work, I should have been at home. If I'm at home, why aren't you at work? Like, I can't get it right. If I try to help by doing the dishes, I did the dishes wrong. And if I don't help with the dishes, well, isn't it nice? I got to do the dishes again. Like, he's like, I can't win. And meanwhile, these girls were like, oh my God, you're going to take away, like, I don't know how I'm going to pay my car payment this month. And you just made that go away like a magician? Like a superhero? You just did that and it's gone and I don't have this problem. It was keeping me up nights, my stomach hurt, and you made it go away like that? You're a superhero. And the guy was like, dude, I would pay anything for that. It was incredible, it was intoxicating. And the minute he said that, I went, oh, I totally get it. I totally get it. Like, I totally get the idea of just how wonderful it feels as a man to be a hero. To be someone who solved the problem, a man of will.
Be appreciated.
Like and just by my will. Like, I took the world and I made it into this thing, and now what I did with that is I fed you. Like, I didn't do it so I could eat it. I did it so you could eat it.
Well, if you want to do that, you can't surrender your will. You can't surrender your will to a woman or to a relationship. You have to retain that and to maintain your power.
But how does you do that and enter into a contract still with the state that says, my promises are legally enforceable and yours aren't? See, that's the problem. The problem is, if we're saying the quiet part out loud, I'm going to take care of you financially. I'm going to take care of our children financially. I am going to make sure that you have shelter and an abundance of resources. You're going to be kind to me. You're going to love me. You're going to let me be vulnerable with you. You're going to emotionally support me. You're going to have sex with me. You're going to make me feel smart and handsome and special. Every single one of the promises on that end of the contract is unenforceable by the state. Every single one of my promises is enforceable by the state. That's called an adhesion contract. That's a contract where one side, it's completely one-sided. And yet, this is the fundamental building block of our Western society.
Well, it's interesting because we use the same word for radically different concepts. There's the legal institution of marriage, which is that contract. And then you might even say there's the spiritual dimension, or certainly the emotional dimension.
Sure.
In the traditional Catholic ceremony, the vows between the man and the woman are very close to what you just said. They're not the same.
Sure.
There's this penchant for egalitarianism in modern ceremonies where the man and the woman just say the same words with maybe the pronouns or the names different, but it's the same commitment to each other. But in the traditional marriage, they're not the same. It's on the woman's part, it's love, honor, and obey. And it's on the man's part, it's to provide and forgo all others. And so the commitment on a spiritual dimension. I think one side of that would
be okay still. I think one side, in modern society, if a woman showed her vows on Instagram and she said love, honor, and obey, she'd get pilloried in the comments.
Love, okay, honor, maybe, obey, absolutely
not.
Yeah.
But if a man, those vows were still, I think that most people would be cool with it. I think most people, like most women would be like, good one, yes. So that's it. Like, I think that really speaks to a fundamental, I mean, I can call it job security, but fundamental problem in this equation of love and marriage.
Well, that's also, I think, part of the issue is, if you look at history, the most terrible abuses have always come from people who, for whatever reason, couldn't be removed from their position for negligence, tyranny, or abuse. And I don't mean
marriage is a dictatorship. At best, it's a benevolent dictatorship.
Well, it's like in what other job do you have that kind of total job security? Totally. As I say in the book, this is a lifetime appointment. It's not even for the entire career; it's for your entire life. This is Pope.
Yeah, it's Supreme Court.
This is Supreme Court Justice.
Yeah, Supreme Court Justice. Yeah, it's 100%. Whereas, again, Gandhi is the one who said that the perfect society would be an ordered anarchy. You know, people just do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. People just have order because order is right and order feels good.
Yeah, that's a little romantic, I think.
It's 100% romantic.
Yeah, but I think that people will do the right thing.
I just got accused of being romantic by Orion. I just want to say that.
Well, Gandhi, anyway,
there's a clip right there, you know? Yeah, Gandhi. We were born on the same day, October 2nd, Gandhi and I.
Yeah, I'm October 1st. Look at that.
Gandhi, me, and Sting, and now I'll remember your birthday. That's good. That's good.
Libras.
There's a water feed behind you.
Oh, okay.
I have a feeling we could be here for several hours if left for a day. I mean, the truth is, I've thought a lot about all of the things Orion says that resonate with me. And the truth is, like, I really have said to everyone, including the woman in my life, I've said to her, like, you got to watch Orion's stuff. And I was really watching her watch it.
I have a lot of women fans.
I don't doubt it. And I have to tell you, I was expecting more of a, like, you know, because I get a lot of like, hey, you want to watch this Shane Gillis, or you want to watch this, and it's like, I'm not watching that. Like, you know, like, it's just not, it doesn't resonate, it doesn't connect.
Well, I would think a woman would want to watch Orion's stuff just to get an insight into maybe how men operate.
100%. It's the same reason why, like, I'll read, you know, I want to read Cosmo. I want to read what's the opposition research. Like, I want to read that
stuff. Like, if women want to figure out men, there's no better place than Orion.
There's no better place than that. Yeah, that's the place to look. But I didn't. What's interesting to me is men and women have found your stuff equal, particularly your interviews, but even Tycax, the short talks. I think I've had men and women say to me, yeah, this guy gets it. And even if they're uncomfortable, they'll go, yeah, I don't like it, but, you know, he's onto something there, you know? And you sort of go like, all right, you know, like, it's kind of nice that it's rare that you'll have both genders, like both sides in the gender war, kind of come to a common ground and go, yeah, he gets something there.
Well, I don't always get it right, but I am trying my best. I am making a good faith effort, and I'm not just like selling this is my 6-week course that you can do to get better at this.
Yeah, and I think you have your toe in a lot of spaces, but none of them own you. Like, I think when you first caught fire, I feel like it was like everybody wanted to claim you. Like, the red pill was like, all right, he's our guy, fresh and fit. Like, they were like, well, get on, Rollo, Mike. We're like, all right, yeah, he's our guy. And then none of them do you give them exactly what they wanted. Like, I watch a lot of your stuff, and it's all with people that I know and respect and like. But you don't give them exactly what they wanted, and you kind of see them go like, isn't it true? And you go, well, not exactly. You did it to me a couple times in this, and it's great because I think you're giving people what they need, not what they want, and that's like,
and that's hard to do. It's bitter medicine, and you do need a little bit of sugar to make the medicine go down. Generally, my vision is that the time has come to have a more public conversation about some of these things. And that's why I think that why I have to not be completely identified with certain spaces or subcultures, because they're not going to go mainstream.
Yeah.
They enrage men or alienate women.
Yeah.
They don't use their real names. They don't show their faces.
Yeah.
These are not credible sources from, like, superficially. A lot of what they say could be true or good and useful, but in the way it's presented, it's going to be self-defeating from the highest public narrative. And I think the time has come to have honest, compassionate conversations about relationships and why they seem to be failing at an unprecedented rate. Yeah. Like, that's the elephant in the room. We're suffering this unprecedented relationship crisis where fewer people are getting married, having children, or even hooking up than ever before. Like, why is that?
Yeah, and I think we've tried to throw a bunch of answers at it right now. I think part of the challenge is if one of us was a black woman with natural hair, it would definitely go down in the zeitgeist a little bit easier right now. Like, I think a lot of people look at you and I and go, okay, two more white dudes in suits, like, telling us how to live our lives.
Especially telling
giving
women
us
how to
answers,
behave.
right, telling women how to behave. Like, we are, like, the voice of patriarchy in their face. And I genuinely thought when I did the first interview that I was like, oh yeah, like, I'm gonna get pilloried out there. Like, it's gonna be like, oh yeah, another white middle-aged dude telling women how they should be behaving in their marriage, or men how they should be acting. Like, this is not the moment, guys. It's 2024, this shit's over. You know, you look like Don Draper in your outfit, and you're not here to tell us what to do. And I actually found that, you know, that wasn't the response, which I actually thought was very refreshing.
That's right.
I think that in our modern zeitgeist, like, having voices that are traditional in nature or even in its appearance is maybe starting to, like, I think there was a time where it was like, okay, white middle-aged dude in the tie, sit down, nobody wants to hear what you have to say anymore. And I'd like to think that now we're sort of being invited back to the conversation, hopefully with our eyes and ears open more, with more room at the table, and saying, like, hey, look, like, I'm not saying I have something important to say because I'm a white heterosexual male who's cisgender. I'm saying I have something important to say. And you may have something really important to say, and you're not a white, heterosexual, cisgendered male. Like, you might be a trans woman. You might be a woman of color. You might be, and you have something to say. And I'm not going to dismiss you because you have nothing of value to offer me, and you're not going to dismiss me because I have nothing of value to offer you. I genuinely think there is truth sounds different. Like, sometimes to my chagrin, it sounds different. Like, in court, sometimes when I'm full of shit, I'm so obviously full of shit. Like, and because truth just sounds different. And, like, that's what I felt when I saw the first of your interviews here. As I was watching it, and I actually, when I texted Mark, I said to him, I just sat there for an hour and 20 minutes. And that never happens.
Wow.
Like, I never sit for an hour and 20 minutes. I start it, and then I, you know, pause it and I go make something to eat. Or I, like, leave it on in the background because I'll look over and look, but yeah, he still looks exactly the same as he did. Like, it's not anything really compelling visually, not that you're not handsome in your own way. And it's just not my type. Well, just in the way that's not particularly appealing to me. Listen, it'd be awesome if I was gay. I have to tell you. I get in the comments, by the way, if you're like a vaguely articulate man, you get a lot of, this guy seems gay. I get a lot of, this guy seems gay. And I have to tell you once and for all, I wish I could be gay.
Every man has had that honest conversation.
But it would be so great. Oh my God. Like, I have a buddy, and he and I have both said, we're like, dude, if we could just get past the gay sex part, being gay would be so
Could I do it? Could
great.
I do it?
Because the truth is, like, we would just be like hanging out and just not worried. Like, we'd understand. Like, are you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. Like, it wouldn't have to read into it. We would just understand each other's language, and it just feels to me like it would be so much simpler, but it just isn't. Like, I remember, I have a buddy who's Italian from Italy, and he when he sees you, he kisses you. Heterosexual guy, but like when he sees married, you know, lovely. But when he sees you, he kisses you. And I remember the first time he kissed me, like just kissed me, and he has a beard. And I just felt the stubble and went, oh, I don't like that. Okay, I don't like that. Like, I don't like ham and I don't like that. That's two things I don't like. I just know that right away.
But he's kissing you on the cheek.
No, he kissed me on the lips, but it was like a quick peck on the lips. Like it was just like, hey man, how you doing? You know, it was like right next to my lips. You know, enough that I felt a beard on my face for the first time. And I remember thinking like, oh shit, yeah, I'm not okay. That held nothing for me. You know, that held nothing for me. Which again, I live in Chelsea. I'm not homophobic. Like I have so many gay friends. I have so many trans friends. I have so many. It's all good. But I got to tell you, like I sometimes say to my gay friends, like a beautiful woman with like cleavage exposed will walk by and I'll go, you can see straight when that walks by? Like that doesn't make you go like that. And they're like, nah, nothing. And I'm like, nothing, nothing at all. Like how is that the superpower, you know? But again, it's like this rule set, I mean, we could probably have someday a really great conversation about, you know, because I do now a lot of same-sex divorce, mostly women. Mostly lesbian women, I have to tell you.
They get divorced at the highest rate.
Yeah, gay men's divorces so far, like I've only had like 2 that were knockdown dragouts. And one of them had like serious methamphetamine issues in it, which is what made it so ugly. But yeah, lesbian divorces.
I don't think there's a statistically significant difference, but lesbians divorce at a higher rate than even straight couples, and then gay relationships are
yeah, and the DV rate is actually intimate partner abuse, domestic violence rate in lesbian couples is actually higher than it is in heterosexual couples in terms of its comparative. Obviously, there's way more intimate partner abuse and domestic violence in heterosexual, heteronormative marriages and relationships because there's a larger, you know, they're not the minority, they're the majority. So, but yeah, there's a lot there that I think we can probably unpack about men and women, as unpopular as it may be to see any of that in a binary way.
Well, that's really interesting. I've been thinking about that topic for a while, and it made me think about this time where I went into the wilderness in Alaska when I was like 25 with my best friend, and we went backpacking in Denali, a national park the size of Connecticut and Rhode Island combined. There was like 8 people out there.
Who knew that Orion was so textured? Do you know what I mean? Like you did not know this about
That was
it.
very impressive.
Yeah.
Anyway, before they let you go out there, they sit you down for a mandatory bear safety course because they're not going to just throw you out into the wild and expect that you're going to know what to do. The instinct when you're confronted with an aggressive bear is probably to run, which is the absolute worst thing that you can do. So as scared as you might be, and I actually got probably this close to a grizzly, where Mark is sitting, where the camera is.
It's pretty close.
My heart was racing.
Yeah.
And you just have to stand your ground. And that is maybe not emotionally intuitive in that moment. And so it's not like when bears eat people, we blame the people. We think it's a tragedy,
Right.
But maybe they did something in their ignorance that they shouldn't have done that triggered the bear.
I think that Orion and I are now going to design the bear safety course that people have to complete before marrying. This could be our call. Yeah. Our calling could be that we're going to create the marriage bear safety course. I just have this image of us like creating a concept together of like, okay, so here's the bear safety course for marriage. Like I'm doing logistics, I'm doing like here's financially what's gonna happen, here's what you need to do in terms of property, and he's gonna be like, and here's how you communicate, and here's how this works. Like that's what I meant before when I said like the hardware and the software.
Well, there's one intervention that would be really helpful to really significantly reduce DV rates. Where does most DV happen in the house? Do you know? Like what room?
I think the kitchen. I hear it most often in the kitchen or in the bedroom.
According to what my research,
Bathroom?
It was the hallway.
Hallway, interesting.
Because often what happens is the fight is escalating. Somebody feels, often the man, that he's losing control and actually wants to leave the situation. And the woman like bars his way. And that kind of triggers this I'm a trapped animal instinct inside of him, and he does something regrettable.
It's interesting.
So one of the things, if we're going to do the bear safety course, is if you're a man or a woman, never stop somebody from leaving.
Well,
if somebody wants to leave, don't fucking stand in their way. Just let them go. Let them cool off.
These are all like, this is like, I say to clients all the time, like you have the right to end a conversation. You have the right to say, I'm not going to speak to you anymore. A person does not have the right to say, no, we're going to talk about this right now.
But that does happen.
The law, It happens constantly. You're absolutely correct and that's why I said the kitchen, because I'm constantly listening to audio of these things, because everyone has a phone now, so everyone's recording. And I have video of it because there's Ring cameras everywhere, and it's usually the living room kitchen combination, because that got very popular as like a singular great room some time ago, especially in New York City apartments. So there's a tremendous amount of video I have to watch of actual intimate partner abuse and domestic violence.
That's rough.
And when you watch it, I mean, listen, this is what I do for a living, is I like look at it and go, okay, what piece of this is the most persuasive? And the reality is, in these cases, is people very often, like, they force the conversation. And there are so many places they could have just de-escalated. They could have just de-escalated, but they want to be right. They want to be heard. And there's something about the idea that, like, no, I gotta be heard right now. And I said to him, like, what in your head was gonna happen? Did you think that if you got loud enough and you got crazy enough that she would go, you're absolutely right. I hadn't looked at it that way. I hadn't looked at it as logically as you're presenting it, and you're absolutely correct. I overreacted, and now I realize I should stand down on this point. You are correct. It would never happen. It would never, ever. So what were you thinking was going to happen? Like, it's not the equivalent of running from the bear. It's the equivalent of like walking up to the bear and smacking it a few times in the face and going like, what? I thought it would go like, oh yeah, no, cool, you're friendly. Like, you smacked me in the face a few times. We're buds.
I wonder if that happens at zoos. Sometimes when people feel a little too safe, they actually
100%.
will put themselves in danger.
Well, I think that's what it is that you're in your kitchen. I'm in my hallway. Nothing's going to hurt me in my hallway. Like, this is my castle. This is my home. No one's going to hurt me here. And meanwhile, it's like, oh no, you will be arrested for shit you did in your house. Like, you will be held accountable for shit you did in your kitchen.
Well, there's also the deception of anger, which is the illusion of urgency, that this problem has to be solved right away, or there's going to be dire consequences, which is very rarely the case.
And
like,
it's
if
so
the house is
real,
on fire,
though.
you have to take action right
But
now.
what makes that so real?
It's
What is
anger.
the psychological phenomenon of that? Like, why? Because I have to tell you that you're hitting on something that I constantly find myself saying to clients, like, what did it matter right then?
That's what
like,
anger
why
tells
didn't you
you.
write, like, well, she didn't give me the kid's backpack, so I had to break into the back of her car. I'm like, or you could have just gone home. You could have just gone home and then called her or sent her a message on our family wizard and said, hey, by the way, I really need the backpacks, and if you don't give them to me, shame on you, because the kids won't have their stuff. You did not have to break the window of the car. Like, that was the exact insane thing to do. But at that moment, what is it about that heightened tension of the moment? Like, the reason is out the window? Is it the adrenaline response?
Well,
What
you
is
have
it?
to understand that emotions aren't just this feeling in your chest. It's a whole body, whole person experience. It shuffles around your attention, your memory, your perception. Sometimes you get laser focus. Within that emotion, there are always going to be certain behavioral impulses, and the stronger the emotion, the more irresistible those impulses become.
So what does that chapter of the marriage bear safety course look like?
Well,
like, what do I do? Give me
prevention is
practical, measurable. But I'm in it now. Like, we're in it. We just got into the fight. We're into the situation. Like, what's the bear safety course? Is it just, how do I re-regulate myself? Like, how do I know how to do it, which is just have, like, significant attachment issues and never be in that situation. Like, no one's allowed in my kitchen. Like, that's fine. So that's how I never fight with anyone in my kitchen. No one's allowed in my fucking kitchen.
I guess that could work.
Yeah.
I think that first and foremost, you have to have that rule that anybody can walk away at any time and take a time out and for any reason, and no one will stop you and try to force the issue. Because when somebody is feeling escalated and triggered, nothing good is going to happen from that place. Everything that you say and do is going to be colored with that emotion, which is going to create this feedback.
We have to have a relationship safe word. Like, we have to have a safe word, not in the bedroom. Like, there should be an eject button in the conversation. Like, it's like, sorry, Oliver. Wait, what? That was my safe word. I'm out. We have to stop talking now for 5 minutes. We got a 5-minute
You can
penalty.
do that. It's going to feel weird, but it's.
Well, I think a safe word feels weird, probably, right? But it's there for a reason.
It's there for a reason. So
not that I would know.
We don't want to. Once you get to a certain point, reason goes out the window. So the idea is we don't want to get to that point where you're flooded emotionally. And so one thing about the bear safety course could be how to fight fairly. And because men and women in relationships are subject to arguing, but there's, even in boxing, even in MMA, like, there are rules, there are things you just don't do.
But I said it in my first interview that we learn how to fight while we're in a fight.
Well, that's why.
Like, and that's the problem.
I learned about how to deal with a bear before I went out into the wilderness.
Right, well, because you don't want to, the bear's there and you're trying to Google it on your phone, like it makes sense. But this is what, I mean, I really do think the marriage bear safety course, I'm telling you, we have to come up, by the way, we have to change the name
I think
because
the name is
I live in Chelsea and there's a lot of married bears. And they would be like, finally, someone that speaks to us, you know what I mean? And then when they saw it wasn't for bearded men, they would be like, all right, this was false advertising. But yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, I feel like I've talked so much in conservative spaces. Like I sat down with Matt Walsh, and I thought we were going to disagree on a whole bunch of things, and we didn't disagree on that much actually, which was surprising. And one of the things that we, I think, very much agreed on was that barriers to entry in marriage might be better than thinking barriers to exit work. Like we've had no-fault divorce, we've had fault-based divorce, they're both fraught with their own problems, but we've never had, like we have with a handgun, like a 10-day waiting period. We've never really had like you have to take the bear safety course, or you have to read your book, or you have to spend an hour with me, or you have to, like in the Catholic Church, we have pre-cana, where you sit down with married couples that are happy allegedly, and they say, whenever I say allegedly, people laugh. I'm just so used to it. But the truth is, like, you sit down with this person, and they're supposed to be telling you something about, no, we're in it, and here's how we do it, and here's the challenges of it. And I think, having them sit down with someone who's been in a terrible marriage and who's got divorced, I think would be really helpful if it was the right kind of person, not just like the jaded, don't do this, you're crazy person, but like a person who said
straight stuff in high school.
Well, but that's exactly it. It's like the marriage equivalent of scared straight.
Yeah.
Like where you sit down and go, listen, man, don't set this standard that's not going to be able to. Like this is off topic a little bit, but I have 2 sons, and they're both adults, and one of them is, he's in his early 20s. And he and I had like a disconnect between the two of us. We'd gotten in a fight about something, and it sort of, built for a while. And one day, we were talking to each other, trying to sort it out. And he said to me, Dad, like, I just feel like you weren't like, you're not as supportive, and you weren't there for certain things, And I said, Bill, like, what are you talking about, man? I was there for everything that mattered. Like, I was there for every sport thing and every recital and I thought I was there. I really wanted to be there. Like, I know how much I love you. Like, and I hope you can feel my love, and that I love you. And he said, yeah, but it's just like you were there, but like you weren't always. And I said, do me a favor, like, are you comparing me to an actual father? Or like an imagined father?
Or to your mother.
Because, but also to an imagined father. Because your imaginary perfect father, like if we're going to talk about that guy, then I'll talk to you about my imaginary perfect son.
Oh.
And that's not really fair, because you're you and I'm me, and I'm doing my best and you're doing your best, and we should talk to each other about how we could do better. But I said to him, listen, I love you enough to tell you that, like, if you start comparing people in your life to your imagined ideal, you are never going to have a satisfying romantic relationship. Because I got to tell you, like, I've yet to meet a woman who was as good as my imagined perfect woman, who always knows what to say and always knows what to do and always knows exactly what I want in any particular moment without me even saying it. Like, compare me to real people. Compare me to a real father other people's fathers. Compare me to real people. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that is something that in marriage, we're comparing our relationships. Like when you were talking before about, we have a meet cute and then we did, like, that's a movie.
Yeah.
That's a movie. That's not, like, how many of those in real life do you know? There aren't many, and to the extent they are, it's because they like told the story in a way that made it fit into that mold. Yeah. So I guess some of this is about helping people understand and navigate reality.
Well, I think also it's that men and women, mothers and fathers, often show their love and support and their kindness differently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you've talked about this, and it resonates a lot.
I had the
with
same
me.
kind of thing when I was around your younger son's age, where I had a conversation with my dad, who was also there for a lot of the important stuff too, but he was also working 12 hours a day.
That's me.
And I was spending more time with my mother, who would often talk about how much my father was working as if it was a bad thing. But it was because of his efforts and his sacrifices that me and my sister and my mother had a pretty decent life.
I need him to talk to my younger son. I just want to make that clear, Bill.
Right? But there's this idea that like I was actually there to spend time with you, and that's more valuable than sacrificing.
Well, part of the reason I was at the office for 12 hours is how much I want you to feel safe and how much I want you to have abundance and not be afraid and struggle the way I did when I was your age.
And I think a man realizes that about his own father as he goes into adulthood, and he understands that when he starts to pay and when he starts to provide and he starts to support, that's his way of showing love.
Oh shit, you made this look easy. Like, wow, like that's
what
hard.
Dad
this was
doing.
hard, you know, this is hard. And like oh wow, okay, you made it hard. And by the way, there's a different gendered equivalent to that. Because I remember once calling my mother when my now older son, when he was a baby. And I'd like walked into I heard him in the crib or whatever, and I walk in and he had just gone in his diaper and was just painting the walls. And I was like, are you kidding me? And I had to like, clean him up and all these things. And I talked to my mom the next day and I said, how do you take anything I say seriously? And she was like, what do you mean? And I said, how do you not like look at me and go like, I lecture you on politics. How do you not look at me and go, motherfucker, I taught you the cow says moo. Like if I had told you the cow says oink, it would have been a good 8-9 years before anybody corrected you. Like are you really gonna do this? And I really felt this sense of like, oh, like, yeah, you allowed me to like be like feel smart when you knew I was an idiot. You allowed me to lecture you when you knew you know more about that shit than me.
That's more important than anything.
Yeah, and there's a tremendous gift to that. And so it was like my mom and my dad, both, my mom was a stay-at-home mom, my dad was a businessman. And like they both gave me, my father was so good at, I think I talked about this in my first interview, that my father like never once was like, oh, well, I work and your mother's just home all day. Like they both seemed to admire each other for the value. Like my mother was so like, man, like your dad worked so hard so that you could feel good and feel safe. And my dad was always like, did you thank your mother for this beautiful dinner she made? Did you thank your mom? Like, man, like your mom worked so hard, And I felt like they both were providing value and they both honored the value of the
was recognized,
other.
Yeah. And that's so often what people fight about in those relationships, that my particular provision of value is more valuable than yours. Yeah. You get to go to work and have a career. I have to slave away and do all the childcare, and I'm not appreciated. You think this is all fun and games, that I wouldn't want to spend time with my family?
But that feels like a bottomless pit, because I have to say, there was a time where I think women's work was not valued. Like a woman's work in the home, a homemaker's role, was like, I work and you just sit around all day. And it was like, wait a minute, there's so many tasks that a person who's at home might do, especially when caring for children. But now I feel like we've so overcorrected. Like we've treated dandruff with decapitation. Like, dude, Mother's Day is like the most mass scale fellation of women. Like it's insane. It's like Father's Day. It's like, all right, here, Dad, we did your thing. Like, that's it. Like men, Mother's Day is like, go to a restaurant on Mother's Day. It is like a shrine to the almighty deity of the mother. And by the way, I'm not saying it's undeserved, but we have now gotten so, and it's still not enough. It's still not enough adoration. Like it's still like, well, motherhood is thankless work. I'm like, really? Is it? Is it still thankless? Like, I don't know if you've noticed, it's not 1950 anymore. Like motherhood is endless. It is an endless amount of praise for how hard it is to be a mother. And I'm going to say the quiet part out loud as someone who deposes stay-at-home moms sometimes in connection with divorces. What the fuck do you do all day? Because honestly, there's 24 hours in the day and you sleep maybe 8 of it a lot of the time. When I sit there and I go, so what do you do when you wake up? Well, I take the kids to school. So you drive the children to school? No, I take them outside to the bus stop. Okay, so then how long does that take? Well, it feels like it takes a while. Maybe about 5-10 minutes? 5-10 minutes. Okay, 5-10 minutes. Now, what else do you do? Well, a lot. Okay, what do you do? Well, I do laundry. So you darn you in the sink, you scrub the, no, I put it in the machine. Oh, so do you do that every day? Well, it feels like it. Yes, no, great joke. So do you do it really though every single day? Every single day you do laundry? Well, no, I do it every other day. Okay, and so every other day, and when you say you do laundry, you mean you put it in the machine, and you put the pod, and then you press the button, right? Yeah, and you don't stand there watching it. No, okay, so how long does that take? And when you really start to break it down, I go to the grocery store. Okay, you go every day to get fresh produce every day at the grocery store? No, well, no, I go to okay, so what do you do all day? I'm not shitting on that role. Believe me, my mother was a stay-at-home mom. Like, I think that the value of a homemaker is tremendous. But like, could we just be honest about that? Yes, it's stressful. It's a different type of stress, baby. But it's certainly not like the grind of what someone does. Listen, what I do is hard. But it's not hot tar roofer hard. It's not landscaper hard, in the summertime. Like, it's not that. Like, oh yes, I have to wear a suit. Okay, like that's not the end of the world. So I don't know when we got to this, like, how far is enough praise for motherhood? How far is enough praise for how much reward is enough? Like how much, because I do think like my father and his generation never expected people to be like, you're so amazing for what you do. But I think now we've got this culture that's very into like, oh, well, mothers are not appreciated. I don't know, do you think that's still true, that mothers are not appreciated?
No, but I also don't think that it's very popular to even be a mother these days. And that's kind of what we're seeing in this generation. It's not something that is seen as a desirable lifestyle for a young woman. That's why.
Why is that, do you think? I mean, is that it's certainly not the drudgery of the work of it. Is it that it's not as illustrious? Is it that one has to subjugate yourself to another a little bit?
It feels that way sometimes, and certainly in the popular imagination. And
so because I don't think the remedy then is to like just praise motherhood. Like, I don't think there'd ever be enough praise for it to be that. Like, I don't know is there a remedy?
But I've talked to a lot of young women, and the complaints that I hear are not that I'm doing the laundry, are not that I'm buying the groceries and cooking dinner and my partner doesn't appreciate me that much. Most of these women wouldn't be caught dead doing a man's laundry.
Right.
Like, to them, there's that particular chore, for whatever reason, in their popular imagination, it's the Handmaid's Tale. And even though they're just putting the laundry in and
it's like the female equivalent of being a simp. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm a mark.
Yeah.
Like, look what I did, I'm a fool. Like, I must be that I'm being oppressed, or I've subjugated my will to the will of the other because I'm doing this work. Which, by the way, how is that more undignified? Like, I always felt that way about sex work. When someone was like, oh, this person does sex work. And I'm like, how is that less dignified than some of the jobs? Like, I was a waiter for a really long time. People were shitty to me for $6 an hour. Like, if somebody could show their body and make 50 times that an hour, like, I don't know that that's undignified, more undignified than slinging prime rib. Like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know that there is such a value disconnect there.
It does create opportunities in the contemporary sexual marketplace, though, because that is an easy way for a woman to provide an exceptional service or value to a man. Like, if I want the girl that I'm dating to go to her friends and say something that's going to cause them to go like, damn, he did that?
Yeah.
Whoa. Like, what would I have to do? I'd have to take her to the Seychelles. Yeah. I'd have to get one of those,
Maldives. Like, there'd have to be
the bungalows over
red bottom shoes wouldn't do that.
And there'd have to be the rose petals strung all over the field, and we'd have to hire a photographer, and they'd be like,
there'd have to be a documentation of it. Yeah.
But let me tell you, if a woman did a man's laundry without asking, and I was hanging out with my friends and I said, hey, my girl does my laundry, they're going to go,
well, it's like the Eminem lyric. Listen, there's no such, they made it all up. There's no such thing like a female with good looks who cooks and cleans. Like, I think you're absolutely right. Like, there's this idea that's being put out there now in this moment, of like the high value woman in the red pill space. And the high value woman, though, in the red pill space is a woman who is beautiful, cooks, cleans, is a supportive other. And it's the total opposite of what a strong, independent woman who don't need no man, like what the popular sort of conception is. And that's really interesting to me, because I understood for a little while, like why advertising was so focused on women being at home and having kids. Because like you have kids, you got to buy a bunch of stuff. And if you're at home, like marketing, when advertisers figured out, like, hey, women do all the purchasing, women do all the, so we got to sell them on the dish soap. We don't have to sell the guy, he doesn't care. He doesn't know what color his couch is. He's not going to care what the dish soap is. But she's going to care about the dish soap. Oh, this gives me dishpan hands. I don't like this one. Or, oh, this one is really, it smells nice. Like she's going to think about that stuff. And by the way, most men, if we're being honest, will say, one of the best things about being in a relationship is like, I have not had to buy shampoo in ages. Because somebody else buys shampoo and it always is the right one that smells good. Like, and it's great. So I get that, but I also get that at some point, I feel like consumer late capitalism went, we got to get these women out of this house and we got to get them into the trenches here. And we got to convince them work is not wage slavery. We've got to convince them that this is the highest you could be. The greatest thing you could be is a cog in the machinery. And that this other thing, this like having kids and taking care of them, but that's the worst. That's the Handmaid's Tale. And I don't know what, does it just swing back the other way now? What happens?
I don't know.
Because I hear more female voices now saying in like the hushed tones of a revolutionary, saying, I kind of want to stay home. Like I kind of want to, like I actually don't mind that. This dynamic doesn't, I hear a lot of men going, yeah, I kind of love that. Like I kind of love that. Like I'll go out and I'll kill the thing and bring it home and then you can skin it and we'll eat, all of us.
I think a lot of women feel like that attitude is a betrayal of womankind. I know many women that I've done consultations with who on some level they feel like they're carrying the banner for all womanhood in their homes, in their bedrooms, and they're fighting a political or ideological battle
But see,
in their
that's
private
the danger,
relationships.
because we convinced women that men were their enemies. And I think that very rarely in a society where men are flailing are women thriving. Like that doesn't happen.
That makes sense
Like
to me.
it just doesn't happen. And I think there is a sense that, if we could help each other more, if we didn't see this as a zero-sum game, if we saw this as like, hey, we can lean into. See, I was always of the mind that feminism at its core was about the idea that women could be anything they wanted to be. Like my mother was a very, very intelligent woman, great at math, great at science. And she went to, she grew up in the, 50s and she was a great math and science student. They said, great, you can be a nurse or a teacher. And she said, well, I want to be a doctor. And they were like, right, you could be a nurse or a teacher. And then you're going to get married, and then you'll stay home with the kids. She was like, right, but I get the best math scores out of everybody in this class. And they were like, that's nice. And you'll be a really good nurse or a teacher someday because of it. And so for her, there was this sense always that like, hey, this is so unfair. And I get it, it's so unfair. But to then say like, you have to be this other thing. You have to be a doctor. You have to have value. You have to be a doctor. I think there are a lot of women who are now saying like, yeah, I don't know. Like
I haven't met a lot of happy doctors, men or women. I haven't met a single medical doctor who would go back and do it again.
Yeah. I do a lot of doctor divorces.
But
so
absolutely, it's very unfair. If I felt like I couldn't do something simply as a basis of my gender, I would be livid.
Yeah. But I think that is real now. I think that a lot of women now are told very clearly that they can be anything they want to be except a stay-at-home mom.
Well, they also believe that they have a lot of time, and that also gets away from them.
Sure.
And it's only generally when they can kind of see the end of their biological windows that they begin to say, okay, maybe I do need to prioritize getting married and having a family at 37. And then they're kind of behind the 8 ball. And they don't really understand why, because they think that all things being equal, I am a very successful, high-value woman. And any guy would be fortunate to have me, because look at all of the things that I've accomplished. Look at how capable and bright and successful I am. But that's generally not what men select for, or at least not what they prioritize.
This idea, too, of what you just said about women feeling like they would be betraying womankind and being sort of conditioned that it's like if you were to say out loud, hey, I want I want to stay home and I want to be I want to be a trad wife, that you'd be betraying womankind is such an interesting thought to me, because I have always felt, and maybe I'm mistaken, but like women have a tremendous amount of power in the dynamic of men and women. It's what we talked about earlier. And I sort of think to myself, like the example that always pops into my head is, a lot of women complain about shaving their legs. In Western culture, women shave their legs. And I feel like if every single woman all at once said, we're not shaving our fucking legs anymore, we're just not doing it, do you really think men would be like, well, then we're not having sex with you? Like, there's no way. Guys would be like, all right, that's the new normal, I guess. Like, that's the new, they're going to have hairy legs. Like, what are we going to do? Like, we're not going to, but there'd be one bitch. Mm-hmm. There'd be one who was like, wait, what? None of them are shaving their legs? Have you seen, God, mine are just so smooth. I just shave them because I like to. I don't know, maybe I'm like that, but I just like to shave my legs. I know these other women don't do it, but I love to do it. And they're the one, but somehow that's the fault of the patriarchy. That part I don't get. Like, that's the part I don't get. Because we would take whatever you're serving at this restaurant, we're going to eat it. Trust me, we'll get hungry and we'll eat whatever you're serving at the restaurant.
We'd adjust in a week.
Right, well, but like if every...
What did you say, Mark?
We'd adjust in a week.
We'd adjust in a week. We'd be like, hairy legs, okay, cool, hairy legs, no problem, And, but there would be one woman who knows, okay, I've got leverage now. Mm-hmm. How is that men's fault? How is that the patriarchy?
But that's what I'm saying, is that it's not value neutral, and these things are actually opportunities for cunning and strategic women. It's like, if nobody shaves their legs, if you're the woman who does, you're going to be able to attract attention and cater to maybe even a cultivated or socially constructed desire, but a desire nonetheless.
Look at Orion, if part of the problem.
If no woman is doing laundry, like, it's the easiest way to differentiate yourself. And it takes, 5 minutes of combined effort to do that? It's like, just if you're doing it strategically, the value that you get out of that hour of time, because that man, I guarantee, is going to brag about that to his friends. All of his friends are going to think, dude, you found a real one, man.
Yeah.
That's
totally.
don't fuck this up, man.
Yeah, dude.
God, like, it's priceless PR.
Yeah.
If you just want to be cynical and think about it that way, it's like the value that you get out of doing what other people don't, because that's the cost of winning. That's the cost of getting what you want, is being able to do things that the other people either won't or can't.
Yeah.
And that's how you get what you want, because the world is competitive and the universe lives closed. The default answer to everything is no. If you want that woman, guess what? There's probably hundreds of other guys who do too. Yeah. Like, how can you give more than any other of her possible options?
But that's the nature of the economy of it. I mean, and that's where we come to where we began, which is, this is an economy. And I think the more honest we can be about that with ourselves, or the more we can try to, I guess, sort of hack it by saying, okay, where in this moment is there an opportunity for me to, okay, everyone's not shaving their legs, I'm the one who shaved their legs. Like, where is the opportunity for me?
It's fascinating, because I don't think it's ever been both easier and harder in the history of mankind to be a man and to be a woman.
Yeah, and yet most people would say we are in the most irretractable death spiral as men and women than we've ever been in the history of humanity.
Well, you can make a case for that, but I'm not so bleak with respect to the future of relationships in men and women.
Yeah, I don't know that I am either. And it's funny, because both of us doing what we do for a living.
But it could also be that maybe part of why it's so hard is because it's become so easy. Like, I think back to what it must be like to have been a feminine woman in the Wild West in the 19th century.
Oh, yeah.
Like, where there's no indoor plumbing, and you have to wash your dresses and your petticoats by hand, and makeup might arrive in a month by Pony Express, and yet they're coiffured, and they have these, floor-length gowns that they're parading about.
Have you ever watched that channel that it's like the lady does like how they would make a pie in 1800? Oh my God, watch it. It's because it's basically just like, all right, here's how you would make... Churn the butter. Yeah, but like legit...
We'll make the cows, and then we have to churn the butter.
That is legit what they do.
Of course.
And I'm tired watching it.
Yeah.
And it's also sped up, but like you watch it and you're like, I would just be like, all right, we're not having fucking pie. Like, we're not having pie. Like, that is so hard. I didn't do anything this week that was as hard as making that pie. Like, and now pie's so easy. Like, we get a pie delivered here probably before this segment's over. We could have a pie delivered here by a guy. We'd probably get 3 different kinds of pie from 3 different places within 20 minutes or less. Mm-hmm. And yet, Like there's something about like that we're more upset about having to make pie than we've ever been. Like there's something about the I mean, was it because it was so hard it was given value?
Of course, yeah. That's got to be part of it.
You know, I can't believe I'm about to quote Andrew Tate. I'm going to get pilloried for this. But I remember watching him talking to someone, I think it was Aiden Ross, and he said, the guy said something about, well, how can I get like a six-pack? How can I get a six-pack? And he said, it's going to take a while. And he goes, well, how can I get one fast? And he goes, if you could get it fast, it wouldn't be worth anything. Mm-hmm. Like the fact that you have to work at it for an extended period of time, and then you have it and you wear it like a badge, like that's something you have to earn, you know? And I think that is something that's lost in the larger culture. It's like if you have a fake Rolex, it's like, oh, well, I have all the trappings of a Rolex without having to actually do the whole buying a Rolex thing. So, you know, that's where I think some of this is like, oh, I made a pie. You didn't make a pie. Somebody delivered the pie. Like, so do you want to pretend that it was hard to make that pie? Because, well, you don't know what a hard pie is like. You know, so I think maybe some of I mean, obviously, when it takes that much to make a pie, you find a woman who can make a pie, you're going to value that woman.
Sure.
You know, and I think that's a piece of it. Like, if it was that hard to make a living, you know, finding a guy who could hunt was worth something.
How hard must that life have been in the Wild West to have a little bit of sweetness at the end of the day? Like men will do a lot for a little bit of sweetness, for a little bit of kindness.
That is still so true.
Yeah, that's what I kind of wanted to, kind of rubbed me the wrong way. What you guys were talking about a few minutes ago. You're probably right. Like you were giving the example, if all women just decided they weren't going to shave their legs, we'd be like, I guess this is how it is now. And you're probably right. But
I think it's an artificial preference. I don't think we really care.
Yeah, that could be true. But the point that that rankled me was, yeah, a lot of men will just be okay with anything as long as they get some scrap of female attention.
Right.
Some scrap of sex or some
That's what I mean.
ort of kindness.
That's what I mean.
Smooth legs are nice, but if we're not going to get smooth legs, it's not like we're going to.
Smooth legs I can't touch. Versus hairy legs I'm allowed to touch. I'll take the hairy legs. Like, to me,
if there's no other
like
option.
a beautiful woman who I can't touch because it's like a photograph, and if I don't all my makeup, all my hair, who wants that?
Yeah.
Who wants that? Oh yeah, it looks really nice. Okay, it looks nice, but you can't, like, I don't care that you have a nice Ferrari in the garage that you don't drive. Like, you know what a Ferrari's for? It's to drive.
Well, that's true about relationships in general. It's like the value of money is in the use of it.
Right.
It doesn't do anything if it's just sitting in the account.
100%.
I understand it's nice to see the big numbers. It makes you feel good or proud or whatever. But the value of money is in when you spend it.
Right.
It's created at the point of the transaction.
I'm not saying, believe me, I'm in no way, like the reality is that I think we only care or notice certain things because we've been, like, this is how it is, you know? It's not like we wouldn't adapt, you know? I think what we want is exactly what you said, a little sweetness at the end of the day. By the way, I think both genders want a little sweetness at the end of the day. Whether it is, I'm so glad I'm with the prettiest girl in the whole world, or it's, oh, look at my big strong man, you did such a good job today, I'm so proud. How hard is that?
Yeah, it's not that
hard. How
hard.
hard is that? It's so easy. I say in my book, I'm like, how hard is it to leave a note? Just in the morning when you leave for work, how hard is it to leave a note, babe? So fun hanging out with you on the couch last night. I'm the luckiest guy in the world. Can't wait to see you later. What did that take? 10 seconds? 10 seconds. It's gonna pay dividends. It's gonna pay. She's gonna be like, what's going on? What do you do? Why did you leave me that note? And if you're like, oh, you know, I wanna make a more concerted effort to have you know how often I think of you.
That's actually really, really smart, especially when you're in the relationship. It may not be a great strategy in the early stages of courtship, but it's one way that, because affection is very different from a female's perspective than from a man's. Like, I would get, a few months ago, I got, not a few months, a while back, I got a video from a woman, and she just sent it to me, and she's like, hi, you know, just here in Starbucks and drinking my latte, and look, there's a dog, and, you know, it's a nice day out. Anyway, thinking of you. And my initial masculine reaction was, what the fuck? It's like, can I get my 30 seconds back? Like, there was nothing useful in this conversation. Why did I have to attend to this in the middle of my day? But you have to understand the way affection works is, like, you weren't around and I was still thinking of you.
Yeah.
That's like the highest compliment you could
100%.
potentially pay another human being
100%.
because the present moment is so sensorily evocative
Sure,
and we get
sure.
wrapped up in the busyness of our lives. So that I still have you on my mind when you're not around and I can leave some sort of objective marker of that moment,
Yeah.
that is actually something that costs very little in terms of time, energy, and money and can really make a difference.
It's a huge,
Especially with women.
I had a conversation, I'm picking on my younger son a lot, but I had a conversation with my younger son once because he called me up and he said to me, as you do when you're in your young, early 20s, he was like, hey Dad, how you doing? You having a good day? Oh, that's good. Listen, is there any way you could Venmo me $100? I need it for X, Y, and Z. And I said, Bill, this feels like a financial booty call. This is like a financial booty call. I was like, let me tell you something, son. I'm not against the booty call. I think a booty call has a place. But I'm going to give you a tip here, okay? As a man who's made a booty call in his life. If you think on Friday night, you might be in the position to send a hey, you up text to somebody. On Tuesday, send her a, hey, I was just thinking of you. I hope you're having a great week. Because then it's a worthwhile investment. If you don't need it on Friday, you don't need to send the you up text to her, it's fine. You just checked in with her and said hi to her. But if on Friday you send the hey, you up, she's going to go, I know what this is, but, we did say hi on Tuesday, I said, if you had just
Really smart.
this weekend called me and said, hey, man, how you doing? Just wanted to, check in, see how you're doing. If you sent me a meme, if you said, hey, I saw you on blah, blah, blah on my TikTok, da-da-da. Then today, a couple days later, when you said, hey, Dad, can I borrow some money? I'd have been like, yeah, you know what? We're close. We just talked the other day. So, nothing wrong with a booty call. Just know how to do it.
Sure.
And all it is some small indication of value that you're giving to this person, like the I was thinking of you.
Well, you got to cultivate the soil before you plant. I mean, it's like,
That's a great
it's
way of putting
always, the I Ching talks about that. You got to warm a relationship before you ask for a favor. You do it the other way around, it doesn't really work.
Yeah, see, when you were telling that story about hey babe, I'm at Starbucks, how you doing? I thought to myself, well, if he didn't know her that well, that feels unhinged. I would be like, why are you sending me? But if you've been dating a person for a period of time and they send you that, then it's like, oh, okay, they're checking in, they want me to sort of see what they're up to today.
Now, it's going to be a little crass, but I would much rather have gotten nudes.
Sure.
But I think women might send men the, hey, I'm at Starbucks, because they respond better to that kind of stuff.
Well, that's the equivalent of nudes. Women don't want, I have never met women, I have a lot of women who work in my office, and I have to tell you, they make so much fun of dick pics that I've never sent one because I get to hear them going, yeah, and then he sends, look at how many they sent. It's a shocking number of dicks that get sent to women. And the truth is, and by the way, dicks aren't that photogenic, guys. I don't think anybody realizes, and you're a photographer, Mark, you probably really bring out the best in the dick.
No.
But I have to tell you, I still don't think there's much you can do with it. But you're absolutely right. There is something about, I do think that, hey, I hope you're having a great day. I was just thinking, I just heard that song and I was thinking of you.
Send that to a
woman.
woman.
Is the female equivalent of nudes.
Yeah, it is.
It really is, because when we get nudes, we're like, hey, all right,
Made my
I'm feeling
fucking
tall
day.
today.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't wait to get home. And I think that when you send the, oh, what are you up to? I was just thinking of you, or I just ate that, blah, 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 that the leftovers of whatever that you made, it was even better the second day. That's such a, if that's true, right? If that's true, if we all three of us just went, oh yeah, that. Okay, so we all know it's true. How many women right now are watching this and going, oh yeah, that's totally true. That's totally, okay. So why are we saying this out loud?
Men and women are different. It's you go to a gas station.
That's a hate crime.
When your car needs gas, you go there not because you like gasoline. It makes the car run.
Right.
It's like you try to put food in your tank. Your car is not gonna run. It's gonna break down. You have to know what the other person wants, and usually out of ignorance and naivete, both men and women try to give to the other person what they would like to receive, and that's like putting food in the gas tank. It doesn't work.
Good. That's
doesn't
so
work.
good. This is exactly the gold I was hoping for when this happened.
It's like when guys go to the gym and they're going to build this perfect
Yeah.
body thinking women are going to love it.
Yeah, and you're building all the wrong things.
It works if you're gay. I mean, the best.
Well, that's what I mean. But see, that's what I mean when I say, "Wouldn't it be great to be gay?" Because it's like I know what you're talking about. Like I get it because it's me. Like I want the same things. Like I get it. So I think you're absolutely right, and that's why. What's funny is that some of the genesis of this was after I sat for the hour and whatever of your first interview, and I texted Mark and I said, "Man, this is so good." I said, "Orion is incredible," and he was like, "Yeah, he's great, right?" And then he called me. He actually called me because we both were up at insanely early hours, which is even more insane because I'm up early and you're on the West Coast and you're already up.
I'm 3 hours behind you and I'm up.
Does he just not sleep? Yeah,
I don't
'cause I'm
think
up
he
at
does.
4.
I mean, he's a machine,
Yeah, it's pretty
Mark
amazing.
is.
But and then the next time it was on, or your second interview was on, and I sent him again. And I was like, Jesus, man, it's all killer, no filler with Orion. And then I said, we should talk. Orion and I should talk. And he was like, it's interesting. I was about to say the same thing. And he said that, he was like, Orion had said he liked you and that we should do it. And it's so funny because I feel like we've now known each other a really long time.
Isn't that interesting?
It's so interesting. It's so interesting because there's so much ideological common ground and there are so many moments where something comes out of your mouth and I go, yes, that thing right there, he just said it.
And nobody else says it.
And no one else says it. And then I actually will rewind it and I have in my phone in the notes app, like things that someone says that I go, oh, that's so good. And then I'll write it down.
Orion has said
There are so many Orions in there.
so many things Orion has said since I've met him. Which
Yeah.
Since just what's like earlier this year.
A few months, yeah.
Yeah. That no one else has ever said.
Yeah.
No one else has ever realized.
Yeah, I feel like he's like Darwin in relationships. He's like,
Yeah, what did I call you on that one time?
guys.
I called you like the Charles Darwin of romance.
Man, I have to tell you, it's honest praise. Like, because I deliberately, I get more offers these days to do things than I could possibly do. I have a very full-time job.
And you do a
And
lot. You appear
do a
in
lot.
so many
Yeah,
places.
I do a lot. I try to do a lot. I try to do as much as I can do because I enjoy it.
Well,
Like,
what is your angle here? Because you don't have your own channel, as far as I know,
No,
right?
I've been offered all kinds of things. I had a very impressive podcast deal offered to me. I turned it down.
Do you have a mission
No.
here? You're just doing it for your
No,
own
I think I'm learning from it. I think
are you
I'm
learning?
I'm learning how to be better at relationships. I'm learning how to be better as a human being. I think I'm enjoying it. I think that I spend a lot of my time weaponized in people's relationships. Sometimes defending good people, sometimes defending less than. And there's something really rewarding about the number of people that I cannot now stop at Starbucks and just stand there waiting for my drink without somebody going, you're the divorce lawyer, you're that guy. And they'll come over and a lot of them, the things they say to me, I get emails from people about how like I went through a divorce and like I watched your stuff and I found it so, it taught me so much about relationships, and I find that really humbling, especially too since we've been talking for I don't know how long now, and it feels like it's 5 minutes. Like I could do this all day, and it doesn't exhaust me at all. Like when I sat down with Lex,
Well, you really
we
need
talked
a
for
wheelhouse.
6.5 hours with 2 15-minute bathroom breaks, and he edited it down to like 4 hours. But we could have kept going. Like we could have just kept going. Like I think we could do this another whatever many hours because this is there's no thing but this thing. Like this is the original thing.
But this is why we work. This as men. It's why we work. It's why we try to be successful or dominant or whatever. It's all for this.
It's actually true. So let me tell a little bit about my story with Psychax, because there's like 2 reasons why I started the channel. The one I think I've talked about before, it's an honest reason. It's that I was in private practice. I was working with 20, 30 folks a year. I saw them improving their lives. I figured these 30 people aren't necessarily special or unique. If it works for these 30, it might work for 30 million.
Right.
What a shame that these strategies or interventions are kept in this
scale it.
confidential room. Scale it, exactly. Let's solve some unnecessary suffering in the world. And that's kind of like the higher calling for me. And it gets me really excited and focused
That
and
shows
driven.
through.
But there was also a personal reason. And to be honest, I started the channel because I was lonely. And I started it during COVID and during the shutdowns. And I couldn't teach my classes anymore. I had to close my offices, so I wasn't seeing anybody. my family wouldn't interact with me. My spiritual community wasn't meeting. Like, I was in a very kind of isolated place. And I knew that there were people out there that would resonate with this and I could connect with. But if I just called you up and said, hey, you know, I really resonate with your stuff. I have all these ideas. I bet we could really get along. I doubt I would even get a response from you. You know what I'm saying?
I'm weird. You probably would, but yeah, most people. Yeah, you'd be surprised how many people
No kidding.
I just can't. But I think we're odd animals, you and I.
I guess
we're we have different.
Like, I'm having a lot of fun meeting people that I get really authentically excited talking with and connecting to. And I think the secret as a guy, we were talking about the loneliness epidemic before, is it's actually pretty tough to just cold call somebody and say, hey, you want to go have a beer because I think we might be simpatico.
Yeah.
Like, those sorts of friendships and connections are like a man's 8th priority after his money and after his woman and his children and his fitness. And it's nice to have friends, but it's number 8, which means it gets attended to once or twice a year.
Oh, 100%.
So the secret, I think, as a man to have kind of those relationships is to provide value. Like, we get to have this actually interesting, authentic conversation in the context of providing value.
Yeah.
And I don't think it would happen otherwise.
Yeah, I think we've created a culture where, like, I've as someone who's been very involved in the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu community for over a decade, like, I think a lot of men, like, I jokingly refer to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as struggle cuddles, because it really is like men having a certain intimacy with each other.
Sure.
And it's a physical intimacy. Like, I have to trust you. I have to trust you that if I tap, you're not going to break my arm. You'll let go. Like, so there's a tremendous amount of trust. And there's a tremendous, like, play. And you're interacting in this non-political way, but it's still competitive. And so I think for men, yeah, it's really hard to, and we put very low on our scale of priorities, like building connection with genuine, authentic interest or fascination with what the other has to say, or a sense of like I know if you were to have a room full of women and say, how many of you have called one of your friends this week just to say hi or tell them that you had a rough day?
All of them.
All of them. And if you say to most men, how many of you just called a buddy of yours just to say hi, or because you had a shit day and you want to call them and say, hey man, I had such a rough day? Nobody.
Yeah, it doesn't get you laid, doesn't make you money.
Right, if you don't get laid or paid, what are you going to do it for?
Right.
You know, and I think in a long-term way that's incredibly toxic. I mean, you want to talk about toxic masculinity, that's toxic masculinity. And I think the struggle of where I think divorce sometimes gets so ugly is that I think for a lot of men, when you've allowed yourself to be vulnerable like that and to say, like, hey, here's what I'm really scared of. Here's, like, I need to hear at the end of the day that you like me. I need you to tell me, like, that I'm handsome or smart or successful. Like, to be vulnerable like that and then to have it weaponized against you is, like, such a betrayal. Like,
Sure.
It's such a, like, oh, really?
But there's also a point, to dovetail on what you're saying, on why divorce seems to be uniquely difficult for men, is that as the relationship progresses, a lot of guys just fall into that workhorse role, and they go to work and then they come home. And it's the women that control the social environment. A lot of guys, if they socialize, it's with their wife's friends.
Sure.
And who are those friends going to stay with when the couple gets divorced?
Sure. Oh, sure.
And so the man realized, I haven't built any relationships in years. Yeah. I used to have friends. I've seen them twice in the last decade because I've been too busy attending to my work and my family. Yeah. Suddenly, I'm 40, I'm 50 years old, and it's like I'm completely cast adrift in the middle of society. And I might be cut in half financially, which is a really difficult thing because that's part of their status, and it has to do with success in the sexual marketplace. So it's harder for men when they're cut in half materially to enter into new relationships with women in particular.
I had a friend who got married some years ago, and I remember at the wedding, I thought to myself, this isn't really a wedding for me. This is a funeral for this friendship, because I'm not going to see this guy again. Every weekend is going to be I'm going here to do this now, and I'm going to do, and we're doing this, and we're doing, and I was totally right. Like, it was totally like, all right, and like it wasn't unhappy. Like, I was like, oh, it's good. Like, he's going to go do what you do, which is he's going to go he's going to go like, well, what she wants to do is what I'll do, and it's unfortunate because you look at it and you go like, shit, that's like, it's interesting that marriage has become that, because I do think that, my staff used to joke with me that I used to do jujitsu in the mornings, some mornings, and they said they could tell which mornings I'd done jujitsu, not just by the bruises, but by the fact that I was like calm as a Hindu cow. Like I just would come in and they were like, yeah, nothing on those days would get you, because if you're doing life and death struggle at 5 a.m., everything else seems easy for the day. And I think, I wonder if people really thought more about investing in a real way. Like if we were all just sort of value investors, if we all were sort of, all right, you know what, I'm going to send the text in the middle of the day, or I'm going to send him the nudes, or I'm going to make the call to the friend and make sure that I do that at least once a week to like check in. And if we just invest, it's just like if you didn't have 1 cup of coffee a week and put it into this instead, or if you just bought this index fund, like if we just had an investor's mindset when it came to our relationships with ourselves and others, and maybe that's where we're coming into normalizing therapy, because maybe to some degree, I've always found it very interesting as someone who, like you, wrote a relationship book, that if you came to my office and there was a book about, like 7 Habits of Highly Effective People or things like that, like you would look at it and go, oh yeah, look at Jim, like he's successful, but he still wants to sharpen the sword, But if you see a relationship book, you go like, oh, geez, what's wrong, And I think it's very interesting that it's either perfect or it's shit when it comes to a relationship. Like if it's not the movie and it's not perfect, then it's like, well, it wasn't great. Like it's not that great. And I just don't know. I don't know that should be this, like if we can, what is now that we're not perfect, we can be good.
I hear that, but I think it also has to do with, let's say, the microeconomic climate in which relationships occur. Like, if you didn't need money, if you were independently wealthy from some sort of inheritance, you won the lottery, but you wanted to work, you'd probably put up with less shit than the other person who needs the paycheck.
Yeah.
Because you don't actually have to be there.
I do a lot of divorces for trust fund people, and I have to tell you, they have a high degree of dissatisfaction in their lives.
Right? So if men and women don't need each other in the way that they did even 70 years ago, let alone 700 years ago, right?
They probably never will. I mean, unless there's a zombie apocalypse, like then making a fucking apple pie is going to be hard.
Then I'm only here because I want to be here. And when the wanting goes away, I don't really have the patience, especially when I live in a culture with at least the illusion of infinite abundance and optionality, where there's probably something that's more attractive or more exciting or more supportive or more whatever I want.
So zombie apocalypse 2025. We solved the problem. That's what it's going to have to be. I think we've come to it. I think what we've come to is that if it takes 8 hours to make an apple pie, that we'll start to value each other again. But as long as the dishwashing's easy to do, or as long as it's easy to go out and make a living, then we don't necessarily.
And we do it even less. That's what's interesting, is that now that it's become kind of easier to do these things, I think people just dispense with doing it. I think some things aren't even worth the trouble if they're too convenient.
Orion Taraban, by the way, is currently
Taraban.
inadvertently, sorry.
That's all right.
Orion is currently reciting the Unabomber Manifesto. I just want to be clear.
Like
if you read Industrial Society and it's like if you read The Future of Industrial Society, which was the Unabomber Manifesto, the fundamental message of it was things have gotten so easy that we're creating all of these surrogate activities that are distracting us. And to read it, Industrial Society and Its Future. It was also called the Unabomber Manifesto. It's Ted Kaczynski's seminal work that he said, I'm going to blow stuff up until you publish this. Oh. And it is available online. You can order it on Amazon. It is a fascinating.
Well, just to be clear, because I talk about this in the book, where I do say that maybe the return to necessity would require like nuclear war or some sort of protracted civil conflict, that no sane person would prefer that to the current situation.
Well, what the Unabomber's position was is that we needed to have a Luddite situation. Like we needed to destroy the machines.
And I disagree with that. Yeah. So the point about maybe
never mind, he disagrees with
maybe more necessity would be good, but like what is going to catalyze necessity, I don't know if we can really pray and hope for that. Like I think we can kind of move forward, and we don't want to go backward to the Stone Age.
No, I like apple pie.
Right? But that might mean that we also have to adapt, we have to evolve, we have to change, we have to let go of some strategies or concepts, even if they're cherished or beloved, because they may not be applicable or at least as relevant anymore. And I do think that there are ways for men and women to get what they want and have satisfying relationships in today's day and age, and probably in the foreseeable future. But it might not look like it has in the 70s, and it might not look like it was in the 19th century. And we have to be willing to, I think, examine our prejudices and preconceptions and beliefs and say, okay, let's focus on what works as opposed to what we believe should work. I don't think that's a good idea.
It's the bear survival course coming soon. Coming soon to this channel.
That'd be a lot of fun.
That was something.
That seems like a
That's a
natural
good part.
conclusion.
Yeah.
Good to meet you, Jim.
So cool,
This
man.
was awesome.
So fun, yeah. And I really said to him, I'm like, I don't even want to see you until we do it.
We did it.
And we did it. Yeah, we did it. Yeah.
That was a fun way to start it. Because you guys met literally
Yeah.
on camera.
Yeah, but you see how quick it was like, because we're so familiar with each other's thought, like it really is so fun. I'm such a fan, I really am. I think you got, I said it to Mark, if you're ever having a down day, have him send you my text to him. Because I'm always like, dude, Ryan gets it, man. Holy cow. And like, it really is, you're doing great work.
Well, you're so charismatic, Jim.
I appreciate it.
It's so much nice to.
I have a lot of bright ties and bullshit, but you have a lot of substance, which is really something.
Yeah, but you shine,
No.
and it gave you a lot of space here, and you
No,
really
it's
came
great.
out.
It was great.
Really
No, and I
came out
tried
well.
to kind of throw it back in your direction too, because there's so much of what